And good day, good afternoon from wherever you are. Welcome to Born Rich, your power to control your money and your life, a global conversation for women and all those who support us. Hello, I'm Sabrina Lamb, the founder and executive director of the World of Money, a 16-year nonprofit based in New York City, which has joined forces with the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. And our mission at the World of Money is to provide immersive youth financial education for ages 7 to 21. However, today our mission is to empower and to inspire women who are joining us from all around the world. Over 250 women and some men have registered today. In the chat, would you please let us know where you are joining us from? Everyone is welcome for this global conversation. And at 12 noon will be our official welcome to Born Rich, your power to control your money and your life. Let me ask you a question. When you first heard our theme today, Born Rich, how did you feel? How can you unlock your ancestral financial wisdom? Joining us for a 30-minute meditation, an interactive discussion from South Africa is our friend, an amazing global advocate, encouraging, empowering everyone from around the world to and unlock their ancestral financial wisdom to guide you over the next about 30 minutes, 25 minutes, and she's going to accept your questions and looks forward to your questions and comments, is Vangeli Makwakwa, and she is joining us here on the World of Money stage. Hello, Vangeli.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Everyone, put in the chat where you are joining us from. Vangeli, take it away.
Okay, so guys, welcome. I just want you to get into a comfortable position so you can sit down or sit in a comfortable position or else just lie down, right? So I'm seated, but you can also feel free to lie down for this meditation. If it's at all possible and you do have a budget, especially because it's month end, or beginning of the month and people's bills are due, right? I want you to just think about all the bills that you have due. If you have a budget, think of your budget. If you have it nearby, you can quickly open it up, look at it, look at your income as well. If you don't, that's okay. Just think of all the things that you have to do for the month and all the bills, right? And also think of your income if you want to. Okay, Delia, you say you're joining from Ohio. Mapule, you're joining from Johannesburg. Hi, Mapule. Monica, you're from Lakeland, Florida. Awesome. I used to live in Orlando, Florida. Oh, I'm not sure who Scrambled Egg is, but they're joining from the Philippines. Hey, from the Philippines. Okay, so we've got quite a few people from different parts of the world. I'm going to give you guys a minute, right? So don't feel like you have to make it like this big deal. Again, if you don't have a budget, not a big deal, but it's good to have a basic idea of where you are in terms of just your bills, and the basic idea is how are you feeling about that. And if you feel courageous, you can post it in the chat. How are you feeling about the month of May? It is about like 31 days, not like it is 31 days. So, and bills have to be paid, right? And I'll explain what I do after this when I do the talk, right? Later. Hi, how do I pronounce it? Letitia? You're from the UK. Hi. Hope I pronounced it properly. Hi, Teresa. You're from Philadelphia. Hey, from Philly. Hi, Yvette. You're from White Plains, New York. And Sis Pumla, you're from Johannesburg. Hi, Sis Pumla. Hi, Trish from Florida. Okay. So, guys, I want you to get into a comfortable position. We're about to start. And before we do anything, I want to say I'm going to keep bringing you into the body. That is my work. I will keep bringing you into the body because trauma and wisdom lives within the body, right? So we're going to work with ancestral trauma, and we're going to work in particular for today's session around what's coming up around paying the bills, around our bank accounts. So even if you don't know what's in your bank account, I want you to think about what it feels like to actually look at your bank statement, right? If you do know what's in your bank account right now, perfect. Think about that, and then think about the days left in the month, etc. Right? So let's get started. Lie down or sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Breathe all the way into the chest and the belly, and exhale. As you reflect on your bank statement, or reflect on what's in your bank account or not in your bank account, reflect on the bills, the length of this month, I want you to see how your breath feels as we inhale again. Try to inhale all the way to the chest. If you can, let the breath go all the way to the belly. And if you can, let it go all the way to the womb for the women. For the men, it's okay. Just let it come all the way to the gut, right? Please don't feel any type of way if the breath just comes to the chest. Now exhale gently. A nice and slow exhale. Your only job with this is to observe what is going on in your body. Inhale. See how far your breath goes. I want you to allow the image of what's going on in your bank account to come up, or not going on in your bank account to come up. Exhale. Observe, no judging, no judgment, no anything. Now I want you to just relax. Relax your jaw, eyes closed, inhaling and exhaling through your nose or through your mouth, whatever works for you. Ideally, if you can, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Nice, steady breath. Relax your neck. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms. Relax your hands. Just relax. Take another deep breath in. Not forcing the breath to go down to the belly or the womb, just allowing the breath to go as far as it can go. And exhale. As you exhale, relax your belly. Feel your chest relax. Now I want you to relax your upper back. Relax your lower back. I want you to allow your spine to relax. So go all the way from the base of your head down to the base of the tailbone. Just allow the spinal cord to relax. Your body knows how to do this. Don't overthink it. Just tell your body, I allow my spinal cord to relax, and trust that it is receiving that message. Inhale. And exhale. I want you to sound it out now as you exhale. Inhale again. And exhale. As you exhale, I want you to feel your entire spinal cord relax. Now I want you to feel your womb relax, or your belly relax. Relax your butt. Relax your thighs. Feel your legs relax. Relax your feet. Relax your toes. Just really, really relax. Take another deep breath in. And exhale. As you exhale, I want you to relax even more. Now, once more, I want you to allow yourself to reflect on your bank account. Reflect on your expenses. Reflect on what's in your bank account. Now, we're going to do a quick body scan. Try to keep that image of the bank account. If you can't hold the image because it's too scary, that's okay. If you're starting to feel shaken or scared, allow yourself to wrap your arms around yourself. The mere thought of reflecting on your finances right now or thinking about them, if it's scaring you, wrap your arms around yourself or bring your hands to your chest and your belly or your chest and your womb. Rub wherever you're feeling called to rub. Just bring a sense of safety into your body. Okay? Now I want you to just reflect. We're going to do a quick body scan from the top of the head down to the tips of the toes. We want to see where there's now tension after the relaxation. So notice, how does your head feel? What's happening with your jaw, with your neck, with your shoulders, your upper body, your arms? Feel into your tummy, your back, your tailbone. Notice what's happening with your thighs, your legs, your feet, even your toes. Just notice if there's been a change in sensation, any kind of change in sensation. Now I want you to bring your attention to the most intense sensation in your body. For some of us, the mere thought of looking at our bank account, our expenses, or thinking of our finances or what we owe can cause a knot in the tummy. So I'm gonna name the most common. It doesn't have to be this one for you. Sometimes we get the knot in the tummy, pain in the lower back, lump in the throat, headache, clenching in the jaw. Just notice what's coming up for you. It doesn't have to be any of that, or it could be all of those. That's okay. That was me. Bring your attention to the most intense sensation. Now we're just going to focus on breathing into that sensation. You're not trying to change it. You're not trying to make it disappear. In fact, you are going to focus on surrendering to that sensation. You're going to focus on allowing it to be, which is almost like accepting that it's there. That's your only job, to surrender to it, to breathe into it, and to just allow it to be. So take nice, deep, steady breaths in and out through your mouth now. Try not to breathe through your nose. So nice, steady breaths, and you're going to focus all your attention as you're breathing into this part of your body. So if the sensation, the most intense sensation is in your belly, you can bring your hands to your belly and just breathe into there. If it's in your throat, bring your hands to your throat and just breathe into there. So let's go. Nice, deep, steady breaths. Just observe the sensation. Don't try to change anything. Keep inhaling. Keep exhaling. Now I want you to just observe, what color is that sensation? You can't get it wrong. You can't get it right. It simply is. The first color is the right one. Keep inhaling. Keep exhaling. I want you to trace the color of that sensation and where it sits in your body. Just trace and see what shape it's making in your as it sits there. What shape is that sensation in your body? And as you feel into the shape, still breathing in and out, I want you to allow yourself to feel the texture. Allow yourself to go all the way deep into this texture and into the color. I want you to observe now, simply conversing with that part of your body. Talk to that shape and that texture and just ask it, what emotion am I holding about money in this moment? Don't try to change the emotion. Trust whatever comes up. There is no good or bad. If the emotion is fear, then accept the fear, surrender to it. The emotion is anger. That's good. That's okay. There's no good, bad, nothing. It just simply is. Now I want you, as you inhale and exhale through the mouth, I want you to start sounding out that emotion. If it comes out as a scream, that's okay. If it comes up as a muffled sigh or a sob, that's okay. Keep sounding out. With every exhale, I want you to just give this emotion a sound. Inhale deeply, exhale, and sound out. And if you feel like moving any part of your body, that's okay. You can move it as well. You're just simply going to ask now, still focusing on this part of your body, is this emotion mine or is it an ancestral emotion? And trust what comes up. Is this emotion mine or is it ancestral? Who does this emotion belong to? When did I learn to feel this way about money? And just trust what comes up. Just breathe. Now that you've asked these questions, keep breathing, keep sounding out. Keep dropping into your body. Again, ask, whose emotion is this? When did I learn to feel this way about money? Or better yet, when did we learn to feel this way about money? So if it's ancestral and you've got that feeling, it's the we. When did we learn to feel this way about money? It's collective. Just breathe. And if it is ancestral, I want you to just ask and trust this process. Your ancestors are with you. Ask for an ancestral representative to step forward and show you the root of this memory. Just trust. You are your ancestors. Your DNA comes from them. You carry their memories within you. It is scientifically proven. So just breathe. If the memory is yours and it's not ancestral, just trust. Just ask to see. Ask for your ancestors to step forth or for your higher self to step forth and to hold space as you get to see the origin of this memory and this emotion around money. Just keep feeling into your body. Keep inhaling and exhaling and just allow yourself to see and trust the process. And you're just going to ask your ancestral representative or your higher self, what if I gave myself permission to surrender to this emotion and to the sensation in my body? What if I gave myself permission to surrender to this emotion and to the sensation in my body about how I feel towards money and my bank account right now? Just going to simply ask them to show you what that would feel like. And I want you to feel what that sensation in your body would feel like. How would that sensation in your body change? If you just gave yourself permission to surrender to what it is that you're feeling and the sensation in your body. If it gets more intense, that's okay. If it dissipates, that's okay. Just breathe. Keep inhaling and exhaling through your mouth. Keep sounding out if you feel drawn to sound out. If you feel drawn to move, keep moving. Okay. Now I just want you to thank your ancestral representative and ask them if they have any wisdom for you on how they would approach this situation, on or how you should move forward regarding the emotion that you're feeling right now. And just ask for one action. What is the one action that you can take to start shifting your finances in this moment? Especially with regards to how you're feeling. Not to get better, not to feel better with how you're feeling, but how can you use this emotion, work with it so that you can start shifting your finances. Or even if they have one action, it can be a financial action. So maybe it has nothing to do with the emotions. What is the one financial action you can take? And if you're working with your higher self, you can ask for the same question. And just trust what comes up. You can just tell them we don't say thank you. So if you're working with your ancestors, just tell them we don't say thank you, but we are appreciative of them holding the space. If you're working with your higher self, feel free to be grateful and thankful and tell them as such. When you're ready, I want you to ask them to go back where they came from. So let them go, let your ancestors go. If you're working with your ancestral representative, please tell them to go tell the rest of your bloodline what has taken place here today and that you are requesting help to start this healing process. If you're working with your higher self, thank them and let them go. So let your ancestors go, let the higher self go. And start inhaling and exhaling through your nose. We're just going to do a minute of that. I want you to hug yourself and just hold yourself. As you do that, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And when you're ready, I want you to open up your eyes. Go get yourself a journal. Note what came up here today. Notice how you felt in the body. Notice the changes in sensations. Reflect on the questions that I asked, and what came up for you. Focus on the sensations in your body. Try to notice that, right? Unfortunately, we have to go on to the next the next part of the event. So I'm going to let you guys do that. And if you have any questions, any aha moments, any insights, please post them in the chat, because I have another part where I'll be coming back and I'll be answering most of the questions or any aha moments, and I'll be explaining why we do the meditation the way that we do it, right? So thank you so much for showing up, and I'm going to hand it back to Sabrina.
Welcome, bienvenidos to the Born Rich Global Women's Forum. My name is Mercedes Garcia, and I'm the Vice President of Community Relations at MasterCard. I'm especially honored to be here. As a Latina, I am passionate and committed to encourage and empower all women and members of underserved communities through my work in financial education. For more than 5 years, World of Money and Master Your Card, which is MasterCard's financial education program, have worked together to ensure that everybody, especially youth, has access to information and resources in order to realize their utmost potential and achieve a successful personal and professional life. The world is changing, as you know, and innovative technology is changing the world we live our lives and also the way that we manage our money. So we all must be ready to be part of the growing world economy because we cannot be left behind, right? So thank you so much for joining us today. Gracias. And for all you do to help us in this financial empowerment and equity journey. Enjoy the forum.
We need more money to be wealthy. So my money comes to me, I'm investing and I'm saving. Then I donate, give it back to
And good afternoon, and welcome to Born Rich. Definitely a round of applause for Vangeli, who's going. Actually, she's going to be back very, very shortly. Good afternoon. This is our official welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us from all over the world. I see South Africa. I see Philadelphia. I see Florida. I see the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us here at Born Rich. So I'm Sabrina Lamb, the founder and executive director of the World of Money, a 16-year nonprofit which has joined forces with the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. And our mission at the World of Money is to provide immersive youth financial education for ages 7 to 18. And some of you may think, well, I'm not 7 to 18. Well, perhaps you have children, and we welcome providing them with immersive financial education as we are enrolling them for our virtual institute. But today, our mission is to empower women and men, the men that have joined us, welcome from around the world. Over 250 women and some men have registered today. And in the chat, continue telling us where you are joining us from. Our panelists that are standing by to share not only their inspiration, but action steps. Today is not about theory. It's about giving you information regarding the basis of financial education, saving, and so forth. Yes, we have a wealth panel, but we have to start with the basics. You want to acquire homes or commercial property, we have that panel. An entrepreneurship panel with amazing women who are not only from the United States, but from Uganda. And so we have representation from all over the planet. So glad that you're here. And so I wanted to ask you again, and Vangeli's coming back to continue her amazing meditation. I'm curious to hear from you again. When you first heard Born Rich, the theme for today, how did you feel? Because I've heard from some women who said, listen, I wasn't born rich, and felt that they needed to reject even the notion of it. But at World of Money, we teach children, number one, that they're perfect as they are. And we know and we believe that all of you have the power, the absolute power, to change the financial trajectory of your entire life and for your family and communities. Maybe what you need is you absolutely perhaps need the information to do it and the support. So that is the mission for here today. And so let's continue and let's bring back Vangeli to continue her amazing transformational work. Vangeli, welcome back. You are there. I do hear you. Do you hear me?
Oh, sorry, I had muted my microphone. I forgot.
Oh,
Yes, I'm here.
yeah, Vangeli, take it away. But I want to ask you before you greet your global audience, what inspired you to do this work? And then continue, okay?
Okay. So, what inspired me to do this work? Actually, that's a good thing because I was going to just jump into what the work is. Okay, so my story starts with like from a very, very young age, watching my family members after we'd all been told globally that education is the way to financial freedom, and watching family members that are doctors, engineers, nurses, teachers, etc., struggle financially. So I've been very lucky that on both sides, my paternal and maternal line, most people have gone to university, even gotten PhDs. My parents have gotten educated, been professionals in the medical field, and yet we struggled all the time financially. In fact, money was one of the things that would get everybody into the spin, and it caused so much family issues to the point where like my maternal side of the family just doesn't speak to each other, and at the root of it, it looks like it's money, but there's a lot more than money, right? So when I went to varsity, I decided I'm actually not going to do anything else but study finance. And I thought, well, if I get a financial degree in finance, and I did my finance honors at the University of Cape Town, then I'm going to know exactly how to manage money, and I'll be different from the rest of my family. And that just didn't happen, you know? So then I went on and I did my MBA. I went traveling, and I still do. I live in different parts of the world and I travel. I just got back to South Africa 3 weeks ago after living in Sri Lanka for about 15 months. And I just started traveling, and my finances got worse. I had this idea that maybe the problem was that I was living in the same country, and that was the issue. So I decided to try different countries, and the problem persisted, right? And I thought, okay, let me go do an MBA, moved to Boston, Massachusetts, did my MBA, and I thought, definitely I'm going to be better at finances, and that didn't work. So I realized that it wasn't my lack of knowledge that was causing me to be in the financial situation that I was in, because by the time I graduated with my MBA, I was $60,000 in debt. I owed tons of family members, friends, had credit card debt, had student loans, and it didn't matter. And I say to people that at some point I was earning like $8,000 a month, making like $2,000 a week for 10 hours of work. And I was still not able to pay off any of my debt, right? And it never ever felt like I had enough money, even when I was making that much money. So that was my first thing, right? So then I realized that there's so much more to money, and that every time I looked at my finances, I started having panic attacks. So when I was in debt, I would look at my finances and I'd have panic attacks. And one day it got so bad, was going to a Bank of America ATM in Boston, and I couldn't go to withdraw money. I started having like these full-on panic attacks and anxiety. So that for me was a clear sign that there's so much more going on around money. And affirmations didn't work for me, by the way. Like I tried affirming, I tried visualizing, and things got worse until I was so depressed I couldn't get out of bed. Okay, so then for me that became, okay, I need to figure out what the heck is going on. I have a life to live. And at this time I wasn't even 30 yet. And I was just like, this can't be the rest of my life. And I know it's got to do with money. So then I started going on this entire journey around money, where I literally unlearned everything that I'd been taught about money. And this is how I started to do the work I did around money, because I realized that how I was behaving around money, no matter how much I had sworn never to do those things, I was literally behaving like my parents, you know, and other family members. And sometimes I was rebelling against that. And it was just crazy. And even when I wanted, and then like I also had certain limitations. I couldn't go beyond certain income levels. So it wasn't just that I was in debt, I wasn't able to save. I also wasn't able to go beyond a certain level of income, no matter how hard I worked. So that's when I started this work around trauma and looked at how trauma is passed down from generations to generations. And I started looking at how that would play out in terms of financial trauma. What I've come to understand and what I've learned through my years and years of research is that trauma lives in the body, and that there's tons of research that's been done around mice and even looking at people that have certain people that have experienced horrific incidents either within families or as a community, as a collective community. For example, people that have gone through the Holocaust and how that then impacts their behavior in general in life. So that for me showed me that trauma is passed down from generation to generation, and it lives in the body, and that we can't just work with money and money trauma in particular from just an intellectual standpoint. And we can absolutely see the impact that money has on the nervous system by just noticing the sensations in our bodies whenever we have to think about money or whenever we have to deal with money. Not everyone is as has the same situation I had, which was going and having full-on panic attacks and anxiety and being so depressed you can't get out of bed kind of reaction. But most of us have different reactions to money. And what's happened over time is that we've been trained to get out of our bodies because the body holds so much and has so much trauma. So to allow ourselves to feel it, we escape the trauma, we escape the body. But that the wisdom and the trauma that has been passed down from generation to generation absolutely lives in the body. So we have to go into the body to start the healing. So how I do my work is to start working with the body, working with the emotions, and then eventually the mind stuff comes in. But the body is first and foremost because the body never lies. And we look at constantly how does the body respond whenever we're invoicing people, whenever we're looking at our budget, whenever we're doing our budget, whenever we're paying for things, basically any aspect of money. And then we work with that to help the nervous system start to integrate the memories, whether it's our memories or our ancestral memories or past life memories. And from there, the healing starts. And then we also do a lot of the practical stuff, right? That's when we now craft an actual, don't like the word budget, I call it a spending manifesto. We start to craft an actual spending manifesto that isn't that we can use and follow, that isn't exactly freaking out our nervous system and causing us to shut down and self-sabotage because money doesn't feel safe, right? So I know I only have 10 minutes to explain all that. If you want to learn more about what I do, I want to invite you to go to the Wealthy Money blog. So go to wealthy-money.com/blog. Again, wealthy-money.com/blog. Sabrina has a PDF with all those, with all my details, right? You can follow me. You can also go get the workbook, a free workbook at wealthy-money.com/workbook. Again, wealthy-money.com/workbook. You can find me on Twitter under Vangile Makwakwa and Instagram and LinkedIn under Vangile Makwakwa. So just my full name. And you can also find me on Facebook at Wealthy Money. Feel free to message me, ask me any questions. My courses are available at wealthy-money.com/academy. The meditation that we did was literally super, like a quarter of the actual full length meditations that we do, because you need quite a bit of time to relax the body and go into the body. But really watch the recording, redo the meditation often, allow yourself to keep going into the body. Notice how your nervous system reacts just at the mere thought of money. and notice the emotions that come up. Notice the memories that you're having around money. All those things are impacting your financial behavior around money. Every time you manage money or handle money, your subconscious mind goes into the nervous system, retrieves those memories, and then starts to react in a particular manner regarding money. So then it keeps the trauma keeps us in a loop, especially unresolved trauma keeps us in this loop, right? So then we keep reacting in the same way because the parts of us that are traumatized will try to keep themselves safe or try to keep us safe and hijack us by getting us to respond in the way that they know will keep us safe and alive, even if it means blowing your entire paycheck in one day or gambling everything away. For them, that has kept you alive and kept you safe. So they will keep that behavior until the trauma has been integrated, right? And once that trauma has been integrated, then a new script around money behavior can be introduced into our lives. So hope that helps, and I hope it resonates. Thank you so much, Sabrina. I hope I haven't gone over time. I'm going to hand it over to you again.
Good afternoon. I only know one person who was personally asked by 2 African country presidents to relocate. She's an international gemologist, worldwide marketer of precious metals and gems, business developer advisor to heads of states. Please welcome to World of Money's Born Rich, Miss Brenda Joyce. Good afternoon, Brenda. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's good to see you.
So in the 1990s, I believe it was 1996, you were personally asked by Madiba Nelson Mandela to relocate to South Africa to help him develop the mining industry and precious metals. Tell us about that.
Well, I had become a gemologist after a career as a lobbyist for foreign governments. And when President Mandela became president, I began to market South African gold and diamonds as a branded product, under a South African brand in the United States. So during the second year of his presidency, when he came to America and received a ticker tape parade and every manner of accolade and celebration, I actually had a year of experience in marketing the products that he wanted to create in the US market. They had several different kinds of receptions for him. One of them was the worldwide premiere of the film, Cry the Beloved Country. There were hundreds of people there. And after the film, they lined us all up. Everyone wanted a chance to shake his hand and to meet him. So along with everyone else, I went down to the lower level of the theater and started to queue with everybody else to just get to shake his hand. But I noticed that everyone had maybe 2 seconds with him. They got to shake his hands, and then the Secret Service came and took you by each arm and moved you right along. So you had 2 or 3 seconds with Mr. Mandela. That wasn't going to do for me, so I didn't get in the line. And I was the only real person in the room who was not in the line. I think after a while he noticed that, and he left the line and came over to me and extended his hand and said, "Hello, my name is Nelson Mandela." And that's how we met. Of course, I immediately started my story about my experience in marketing South African diamonds and gold in the US, and some of the issues that I had and some of the things that he needed to know to develop his industry. And I just held him there for a while. The Secret Service came over and he kept waving them away, and people were beginning to scowl at me around the room, trying to figure out, who I was and what I was saying. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "I would like you to move to South Africa. I need people like you to help build a new nation."
Mm. And you went on to
when Mandela says that to you,
The answer is yes. So you went on to develop the Mandela coin, the gold coin, correct?
I did. This was the first Mandela gold coin. And I think at that point, South Africa didn't really know what a worldwide icon Mr. Mandela was and is. Of course, now there are a number of various products and gold and every imaginable material you can think of. But there are a number of coins and medallions that feature Mr. Mandela. But at that time, that didn't exist. This was the first one. Of course, he was live. So unlike most coins, the image of him used was of a live, smiling Madiba, wearing a Madiba shirt. And it was projected by the gold industry there and by the banking system in South Africa to be a great, potentially a great generator of revenue for the government.
Mm-hmm.
So the government chose to manufacture it as a 1/10 ounce size, and it is now still being sold by the Reserve Bank of South Africa as a 1/10 ounce coin.
Mm-hmm. And then in 2003, the nation of Ghana, the president of Ghana, asked you to do the same thing, commemorating the year of return, correct?
Well, yes, that was in 2019 that I did the year of return. What that was the year of return declared by this President Akufo-Addo. And I was selected and given the exclusive rights to develop a medallion featuring the year of return that we are now marketing through our website, AfricanHeritagePreciousMetals.com. So that is our current product. The Mandela was the first product, and the year of return is our most recent product.
Excellent. And you've lived such a fascinating life and career that many people don't even know exists. And if you go over to World of Money's Facebook page, you can watch our 30-minute conversation where Brenda Joyce shares, not only her victories, the challenges she experienced, how important this industry is, and what is it actually? In fact, why don't you answer that question now? What is gemology? Is it a workout?
Gemology, to put it simply, it's the study of precious metals and gemstones. Mm-hmm. And there are many dimensions of it. One can decide to be a designer or a trader or a diamond cutter. But this gives you a basic knowledge and the basic information about the precious metals and the gemstone industry that you can build several different kinds of careers on.
How many?
It's really a fascinating study.
It is. And how many of us want to be a diamond trader? That's going to be my next job. Okay.
Well, most of us want to be a diamond buyer.
Exactly. And because, one of the reasons why we wanted to introduce you all to Brenda Joyce is because, she uses the word that, the diamond industry and gold, those are ancient assets that increase in value over time. So, of course, this discussion is a perfect fit. Please visit worldofmoney.org and watch our complete conversation. Ms. Brenda Joyce, international expert gemologist, consultant to African presidents as well as U.S. presidents. Thank you so much for joining us here at Born Rich, World of Money.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for having me.
You're welcome.
I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne drinking nectar with a laugh. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert. With a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes, I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle, so swift, you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son, Hannibal, an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built New Ark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name. All praises, I am the one who would say. I sold diamonds in my backyard. My bowels delivered uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Guides panel. I am feeling so energized after that incredible poem by the legendary Nikki Giovanni, and I'm hoping that you're all ready to take that same energy into this session. My name is Siana Montero, and I am so honored to be your moderator for today, for this session. I am a Barnard College graduate, a sales analyst for the Clorox company, and a lifelong financial education advocate through my 12-year partnership with the World of Money. I'm joined today by a stellar panel of financial experts, CEOs, authors, and I hope everybody is ready to have their pencils, pens, live tweeting all of the gems that are going to be dropped in this session. To our global audience, welcome. We will be taking your questions periodically throughout the session, so please don't be shy. This is a dynamic conversation. You can go ahead and start putting your information in the chat. Where are you streaming in from? And then I'll also leave you with one question to get your minds thinking. What's your best guess as to how much money you should have saved by the time you're, say, 35? And I'm sure our financial experts will get us right on track with the answer to that question. While you're doing that, I'll begin to introduce them right now. We'll start with Elizabeth Bucco. She's a UK-based certified master financial coach and CEO of Wealth from Little. Next, we have Deborah Owens, aka America's Wealth Coach. Next, we have Elise Blink, CEO of Best Money Moves. And finally, we have Dr. Dominique Reese, CEO of Reese Financial Services. Thank you all for being here today.
Nice. Thank you.
So do I see Elizabeth? Okay, so why don't we just jump into the questions, because I think that there's a lot of overlap between this idea of being born rich, and I don't know if other audience members are feeling the disconnect of whether or not they were born rich. I, for one, was not. And so I'm wondering, how do we get to that place of being born rich? Why does your financial journey need to start from young? Anyone can take that question.
Maybe I'll jump in. I'm a long believer in the idea that when you're born rich, you are born into a feeling that you deserve wealth and you deserve this kind of gift that you've been given. Whether you do something good with it or not, that doesn't always happen when you're born rich. But understanding that you too are worthy of the gifts of money, wealth, security, and options, I think learning how to accept that mindset and make it work for you, that's the key to feeling like you're born rich.
Okay, so I'm wondering, Deborah, can you talk to us a little bit about from your decades of expertise, what you identify as a core barrier between women and generational wealth creation?
Well, I love this question. So thank you so much. Because I really believe that wealth and investment literacy is taught and is inherited and not taught. And what I mean by that is so much of our ability to acquire wealth has to do with our access to investments and that knowledge. And so as a result, specifically for people of color, like myself, I didn't come from wealth. And the only reason that I learned about the financial markets and how they work was because I chose it as a career. And so what I truly, truly believe is the power that a world of money has. And that is introducing young people from all backgrounds and socioeconomic stratas almost as a bridge to that information, so that once you get that financial foundation, then you can transfer that knowledge of wealth to your family and from generation to generation. So great question.
I love that. So there's actually an S&P global statistic from 2020, 2021 that said that only 26% of American women invest in the stock market. So I'd love to get a pulse, maybe a one-word reaction to that statistic, and then maybe we'll start problem solving and strategizing as a team to how do we fix that? Do you want to start, Dr. Reese?
Sure. I think we fix it literally by educating, but not just educating on the know-how, educating about the how. You know, you can Google anything you want to learn about money. I don't find that the education alone is enough. It's truly the application. So the more we can get women into the practice of investing, the more women will do it.
Do others want to chime in on this?
Definitely. Hi everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. I believe that, like Dr. Reed said, education is key. And for so long, women have felt or it's been presented like we aren't supposed to be, thinking about investing. We aren't supposed to be worrying about money. And that mindset has trickled down from generations. And now, even though we are supposed to, that mindset is still at the back of our minds. So education is key, and access. People need to see other people, normal, mothers, sisters, friends, store workers, investing and building their wealth. They need to see that and know that, oh, it's actually okay for me to do it, not just, the big guys or the big women in banks or in high positions of power, but even all of us, we have access to this way of living. And thirdly, I think a complete mindset shift. And that obviously can be trickled down through education and also by, seeing other people who look like us doing things that we want to do and knowing that you can do it too. So we see other people and we use them as inspiration.
So I'm seeing a trend with a need for a mindset shift from all of our panelists. I'm wondering if there's something tactical that anybody from their experience can say is kind of fundamental to wealth creation. Where do we start?
I think you begin, I just want to say this. I believe women are wired to invest. And the fact is that 2 decades ago, you really didn't have to. If you look at our system and how it was set up, we had a pension-based system or a defined benefit system. And so you could literally work and then retire, and then you'd have a check at the end of that, at the end of your career. And the issue is that most companies shifted that risk of retirement savings or building wealth to the individual, although not giving people any kind of knowledge through which to make those decisions confidently. And so part of the reason only 26% of women invest is steeped in that statistic, in that trend as well. But I would say that, really the key tactically for women to begin in investing and learn how to invest in confidence is to start right where they are. In our community, Wealthy You, what we found with women is that everyone has different opportunities, if you will. It could be through your employer that you have an employee stock option program. It could be so it's sort of starting where you are. What are the levers that you need to pull in order to gain that access? But what is required really is leaning in and discovering what those opportunities are for you.
If I can just add to that, I found in my many years of counseling people on my radio show and in my columns that fear is at the bottom of this. People are afraid they're going to make a mistake and they're going to lose the money that they are investing. And women in particular have more fear around money, which is why even the most educated women sometimes will hand over complete control of their money to their husbands, which is beyond understanding. Don't do this. So I love the suggestion of start where you are. One of the things that I found that has worked for people is when you are stuck, meaning you're afraid to make that step, any step in any direction is actually a step forward. So outline some baby steps. All of the women on this panel have amazing resources that you can go to. World of Money has amazing resources that you can get that will coach you through those early steps. And if it's too much to invest $1,000, invest $25. Just make it a regular habit until the fear factor goes away.
I'm writing this down. I'm absorbing this information. I'm 23, so I want to start early, start young. But I also want for the audience to know we're going to steer a little bit away from investing because that's going to come up in our next session. And I think that growing of your wealth through investing is just one part of your personal finance journey, right? And so what are other things that need to be top of mind in terms of really being a steward of your money and making sure that it's working for you?
Sienna, I'd love to take that question
Please.
head on, especially because you use the phrase steward of your money. And my understanding, especially working with clients who don't have a lot, I love Elizabeth's company, Wealthy from Little. I believe in the power of the small. And a lot of times what I found in the markets that I serve is that people don't believe that financial services in general are for them because the masses don't have the money, enough money, whatever that might be or look like. So yes, it's a mindset shift. Yes, it's about starting with what you have. Yes, it's about, eliminating and eradicating the fear. And it's about being a good steward over what you have. So that's the budgeting. That's the savings. That's getting understanding about what I like to call your core financial foundation, which if you've never been taught about money, you don't even know what a core financial foundation is. Like, what is that? What does it consist of? For me, it's the 8 areas of our financial lives that once we have those things in place, we can begin to build assets. So this is for the person who's like, I don't have any money. I don't know how to get there because this is all I have. Well, start with your mindset. Start with your budget. Start with your savings. Start with your debt. Start with your credit. Look at your income and then look at your protection. And then have a written financial plan that covers all of those areas. Those are the 8 core areas of your financial foundation. So that gives some context, at least to the person who's like, well, where do I start? Like, what? I don't know where to begin with what I have. Those are 8 core areas that you can start.
I love
Look at
that.
those areas.
Yeah, I love that, Dominique. One of the things that we started was a Savvy Money Makeover Challenge to focus on really application, because so often as she said, it's steeped in fear. And a lot of times people think they're stuck, but it's not, they're afraid. And so we have a 5-day Wealthy You Money Makeover Challenge. And we start with you actually where you are. And so that's really tracking your expenses, right? Where's the money going? And then you can look at your statement, right? And then once you look at where the money's going, then you can really begin to see patterns and do trade-offs, if you will, on, you know, a lot of times we have subscriptions, we have all these different things, and we're not present with our money. So I think from the first place that people need to start to really get some insight into their attitudes and beliefs around money is to really look at where their money is going right now. And I want to invite people. It's a free challenge. We're about to start it. I'm sure you'll put that information in the chat, but they can just go to wealthyouchallenge.com, www.wealthyouchallenge.com, and that'll be a great way if they want to just get started, you know, not just investing, but really finding that money within their budget to invest. That's a great way. Is just look at your bank statement, see where your money is going, and be willing to make some trade-offs towards your future.
Absolutely.
So at Best Money Moves, which is our financial wellness technology platform, we actually offer an entire program for free, and you can access it at worldofmoney.org. Just go there. There's a big sign-in button right at the top. You know, take your free thing. It's all free in there. And we offer a budget that you can actually start to track what you're spending, because that's exactly right. If you don't know what you're spending, you are never going to be able to start to feel confident about your choices. It also offers 800 pieces of content that just explain how to do basic things, how to buy a car, how to make that first investment, how to choose the right healthcare so it doesn't bankrupt you, you know, how to do the things in life that maybe you weren't gifted, right? We talk about being born rich. Maybe that's the rich part that you weren't gifted, but you can learn it yourself and take that knowledge and pass it along to future generations, making your future children and family members and friends rich with knowledge as well.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing that the comment section is being filled with resources that our panelists have prepared for you. So continue to utilize that space. We'll be looking for additional questions from the chat soon. But I want to throw a question to Elizabeth, kind of to see what your take is on this global moment and what financial planning can really teach us in moments of uncertainty. I think everybody has been touched by this time. And so how can we learn from moments like this when it comes to protecting ourselves financially?
Thank you for that. Forward, then I'll explain a little bit. Expect the best and prepare for the worst. Okay, 6 words. I think with financial planning, that's what we do, right? During your financial plan, you expect the best, so you're optimistic that things will work out. So you're working, you're doing what you need to do, you're building your business, you're going out, you're gaining clients, you're improving your career, you're gaining more education, you're getting professional qualifications. But you can also, prepare for the worst, not expect the worst, but you prepare for the worst. And that's what an emergency fund is for. That's what savings is for. That's why we start investing towards retirement early. We don't wait till you're, 5 years from retirement to start then, because you don't know what could happen. And so I think what's happening now over the last year in the world globally is really teaching us that, you should expect the best things to happen to you. And for some people, they're able to turn these obstacles into opportunities. But it's also teaching us that we should also, be prepared. When sometimes things work out great, sometimes they don't always. And when you're prepared, emergencies will just trickle down to nuisances. If you do have like some savings and you, God forbid, you lose your job, then you have something to fall back on. You can still pay your rent. You can still buy groceries, as opposed to being like stuck and needing to go into debt or spend on your credit card and then getting yourself into a worse situation. So I think that's that's one thing that I can learn from this situation.
So one thing that I think we're really fortunate to have just by having you all on this panel is that we have certified professionals who've done the work, who've done the research, who know what they're talking about. And I'm curious to see if you can chime in on this booming trend of social media financial advisors who can teach you the ways to make money, invest your money. There's just so many trends, and I think it can be difficult to sort through. So if everybody could just chime in a little bit about how to navigate that space and maybe give some advice about how to properly vet a financial advisor through all of the trends that are coming our way.
I love that. I mean, I wrote a whole chapter in my book, A Purse of Your Own, about how to find a financial advisor, right? And so the thing I would say is that the best investment is an investment in knowledge, right? And so to that end, when you're vetting a financial professional or financial advisor, you really want to have referrals. And when you have a referral from that advisor, you really don't want to just take their word for it. You want to ask them, can I speak to your other clients so that I can get a sense of your process. I would also say that, one of the most effective ways of finding a financial advisor is really to attend now you have webinars. Prior to COVID, you could actually go to events. And that's a great way for you to be able to ask questions, assess, are they going to answer you with respect, and get a real sense of what somebody's perspective is. And, we all have different, how can I say, personalities. And so what you really need to look for is just like you would look for your OBGYN, right? Or your, medical professional or an attorney as for an advisor. The same thing holds true. And one of the easiest thing you can do, particularly for financial advisors, is go to brokercheck.org and find out, that's brokercheck.org, and find out if they're licensed and if they have any complaints. So to your point, there are a lot of people who take a course and then they become the advisor. And so the best thing you can do is look at their track record and what their other clients, the track record, and then get direct information from their other clients.
Yeah. Other thoughts on taking social media advice?
Yeah, this is Dr. Dominique. I would add that sometimes you're not ready for an advisor. And I think, again, our industry does a great job of promoting advisors, but everyone's not ready for an advisor. So if you're that person who's like, listen, I don't have assets to manage. I'm still working on a budget. I'm still in income and expenses. I haven't quite graduated to assets and liabilities yet. Who do I work with? Well, that's where professionals like myself come into play. We are financial educators, we are financial coaches, and we are financial counselors. Some of us do have designations, some of us don't. For those of us who do have designations, you may look for an AFC, which stands for Accredited Financial Counselor, or an FFC, which stands for a Financial Fitness Coach. There are also certified money educators. So there are designations within our industry that you can use as a proxy just to get into the pool of professionals who have been trained. But I also will say, when it comes to working with a financial professional for your level, because remember, there are levels to this, you want someone who can help you with your immediate need. You've gotten yourself to where you are. So think about where you're trying to go. And if you're like, I'm not quite ready to invest yet, I don't think I am, and I want to. How do I get there? Working with a financial coach or a counselor could be the best place to start. AFCPE.org has a directory of certified financial coaches and counselors that you can work with. And that's another great way to do it. And when I work with clients, I help them to interview at least 3 financial professionals, and I can email that list of questions to anyone who might be interested. Just feel free to hit me up at reesefinancialservices.com. But remember, there's levels to your money. You want to be sure you work with the right professional, not with just an advisor who you're not ready for. So look for an educator, a financial counselor, or a financial coach.
Okay, so it sounds like timing is everything. There is targeted and focused advice that we can take kind of at each stage of our personal financial journey. So I'm thinking that maybe we can crowdsource a little bit and split this question up to each of you and see if you have a piece of focused financial advice or a goal that we should be tracking to at each life milestone. So if Elizabeth, maybe you could give us a piece of advice for people under 18. Dr. Reese, if you could give us an 18 plus, like 18 plus to 18 to 30 advice. And then Elise, if you could give us that 30 to 50 range. And then Deborah, if you could give us that 50 plus, what are we needing to focus on? What is foundational for that life stage and moment?
Okay, thank you for that question.
Sure.
So under 18s, right? So children to teenagers, I suggest that they need to be focusing on education. And how do you educate yourself? And this is not just hardcore reading financial books, because sometimes teenagers might find that boring. Not all, but some. But learning to be thankful for what they have, not being able to be content, like not always looking at someone else and thinking, I want to have that. Under 18s need to learn to be thankful for what they have. Then they need to learn to be okay having money. So, they don't get money for birthdays, gifts, or maybe they even work. And they may be thinking, oh, I'm going to get this money so I can buy the next pair of trainers, or so that I can buy some sweets if they're, under 5 or under 10, or it's so that I can do this. It's literally, oh, I'm going to get this money so I can do something, spend it. And it's usually giving it away. And that's okay, but also being able to have that balance so that you're comfortable. So the children are learning early to be comfortable having money without the need, the urge to quickly give it away. And that habit will help them as they move into their older years, where they are able to now save and not need to go into debt or spend it all on lifestyle costs. I think
And do you have any exercises or tools that you could recommend for parents who are trying to introduce those thoughts and ideas to their children at a young age?
Yeah, so I do. I have some tips that I can share. I'm sure World of Money has a bunch of tips that you can share because you focus particularly on young people. But yes, I do have some tips that I can share, and I can add it. I can add it to the information that we've found about.
Okay, so let's go on to that 18 to 30 range, Dr. Reese.
18 to 30, I will say two things. Invest in your education and invest in professional financial support. So you've got to start training yourself to pay for what you value, right? And we don't necessarily value paying for financial advice because it's new to us. So I found with the clients that I work with, I'm the first professional they've ever worked with. And that's important because as you grow and graduate with your money, you want to already be in the training of paying for someone to support you with your money. DIY is cool. There's a lot you could do on your own, but at some point, you need someone who does this all day to help support you. And that's what I would tell you. Focus on investing in your education. Focus on investing in a professional guider. So that's it. And that's really the idea. Beginning to train yourself about what you need to know, but how to apply what you know. And that's where working with a professional is going to really catapult your financial success.
And I'm just curious as a follow-up, because that's a new piece of advice for me. And I'm wondering for our audience, and I'm not even sure if you can answer this, but is there maybe a range of what is a good entry point to those financial service professionals? Because how do I know that I'm not getting scammed? How do I know that I'm not giving somebody $50 to tell me how to manage my checkbook and I really should have invested $300, $1,000, or is that a monthly expense, an annual expense? How should we be thinking about that investment?
That is a great question. The short of it is you have got to interview, and you've got to remember that this relationship is about fit. So first you need to be clear about what your need is. So again, having something like an assessment, a checklist to know where you are and what you need is important, because you can't just trust that this person is going to solve everything for you. You got to go knowing what you need support with. And once you've gotten clear about that in the interview, so again, you've got to interview, you've got to listen for the things that they're saying that matches what your need is. And then from there, one important question: how do I pay you? How are you paid? How are your services paid for? And is it monthly? So when you're working with a financial educator, coach, or counselor, we are independents for the most part. So everyone may have their own pay schedule, their own pay rate, their service rate. And it's important to understand that. But I'm also going to say there may be times where it may not work out, but don't let that discourage you. Sometimes people say, I got burned before, so I don't want to work with anyone. We got to come over that hump, work through that barrier. And again, have these steps in place. Interview, make sure you know what your need is. Go off of fit, not just the referral because they did good for somebody else. Know what your need is, know how they're going to solve your problem, and based on your budget, if you can afford to pay what they're asking and you feel like it's a good fit, then that may be your time to step out on faith and go for it. But it's not going to be just a clear, I know this person is for me, or I know this person isn't for me. You've got to really focus on the interaction, the interview, the responses you're getting, and how well of a fit it is.
That's a great clarification. Thank you so much. Elise, let's work on the 30 to 50 crowd.
Right. So I'll just say that my personal belief is that you can do 95% of everything you need to do with your money successfully on your own. And I think there are some places to pay for that, but a lot of times you can just learn this yourself and trust that you can do that. The 30 to 50-year-old range is your most expensive years, right? This is where you've got kids and you've got car payments and you've got a house payment and you've probably got school tuition, your loans you're paying back for yourself and tuition that you're helping your kids with, and who knows what else you've got. So these are the years that are your most expensive years, but don't forget to always put aside something for retirement, because those years will end and you then will have a very short period of time, relatively speaking, for working and setting aside money for retirement. So start when you're in your 20s, or 23 was when I first started putting money away for my retirement. Aim to put away 10 to 15% of your paycheck every single time, whether it's in your 401k or separately in a brokerage account, and find a way to do that all the way through the 30s to the 50s. And you will be in awesome shape by the time you're in your 60s.
Great. That sounds pretty straightforward. 10 to 15% of your paycheck, biweekly, monthly, whatever it is.
Whatever.
We got it. And Deborah, can you bring us home with the 50 plus crowd?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's I think it's at this point where a lot of times what I find, particularly with women of color, Black women, is we've done everything for everyone else. We send our kids to school and we find we're in a crunch. And so now is the time to get really serious about accelerating your financial growth so that you do have the assets that you need at retirement. I would say, though, I got to disagree with my colleague that everybody can learn this. 95% of people could learn that, because if that were true, then we wouldn't have the wealth cap that we do. And so I feel like there is an accessibility gap, and that you cannot discount the fact that this knowledge is inherited, right, basically from your family. And if you've never been exposed to it, then more than likely you're going to struggle. And so you need to get help. I cannot say that enough. And you can't be afraid to invest. It's sort of like what I tell people: I invest tens of thousands of dollars each year on growing our business, right? And I do that because could I figure this out myself? Probably. But the one thing you need to be successful at investing is time. And that's to achieve anything. So here are the 4 milestones that we believe women at any age should achieve. The first is identify your wealth gap and create a strategy. And so that's really focused on how much money should you have? Fidelity has a wonderful savings factor chart that tells you at what age, how much you should have saved in for retirement based on your age and income. And so at 50, you should have saved at least six times your annual income. So let's say you're making $100,000, 6 times your annual income is 600,000. It's like, whoa, I don't have that much money, right? And so then what we find is it's about pulling those levers and accelerating your growth. So to that point, 10 to 15%, yes, it'll get you where you want if you're younger. But typically, if you're at that age, one of the goals that we have in the Wealthy You community is to get to 20%. Now, you're not going to do that overnight, but you're going to go from, if you're at 5, you're going to go to 6, you're going to go to 7, and you're going to continue to increase that contribution over time. Thirdly, you must analyze your investments, because so often the reason why there is that gap is because people are in underperforming assets. They could be in target date funds. Those are driven by algorithms based on what you answered the question. And oftentimes, if you look underneath those funds, you'll see that a lot of companies put their underperforming funds in target date funds. That is truth, okay? And then last but not least, the next thing that you need to be able to do is really to go to the next level and not just focus on your retirement savings account. At this point, you should be able to move into having a separate type of investment account outside of just your retirement so that you can grow your assets and be prepared. So doing all of that, what we've seen is women have doubled their retirement savings just by hitting those different milestones. And again, I want to encourage people, if they want to join our free Facebook community, Wealthy You community, they can learn about all these milestones, and we have plenty of free training weekly.
And it's sounding like it's almost like a diet of information. You have to be disciplined about what information you're taking in, who you're surrounding yourself with, so that you also can kind of keep the momentum going and make sure that not only are you employing the right people to support your financial goals, but in your personal lives, if you're taking the DIY route and you want to learn what you can on your own, doing that alongside a friend or family and trying to go through that journey together seems like a great way to strategize through this. I think we've talked a lot about things that you should do. Are there any pitfalls that we need to kind of keep at top of mind as well, knowing that hopefully you can kind of build yourself back up out of whatever situations you come into? But what are the common pitfalls that you're seeing in your area of expertise, and maybe what's some good advice about problem solving your way out of it? Elise, do you want to kick us off?
Well, I think we're in danger of running over our allotted time. So I would love to continue to go. I think Sabrina is going to give us the hook, but I would just say, there's so much more, and all of these, my fabulous colleagues have provided such amazing resources that I think we should let all of you who are watching today, please reach out to all 4 of us, because there's so much here to unpack. Everybody's got great advice, and we're so thrilled to be able to, be in this forum with you. And Sienna, it's just been a great panel.
Yeah, this has been an absolute pleasure. As you know, all of the panelists' information is linked in the chat. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you all. I could do this for hours, soaking in all of your information. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll pass it back to the World of Money Studios.
Many people wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model.
Envision a world when citizens of African countries and who also reside in the diaspora can use their mobile phones to invest by purchasing fractional or whole shares in companies listed on US stock exchanges. That time has come. Wekeza! Finally, from your mobile phone or website, you can start to build wealth by investing. Wekeza! Even if you reside in the diaspora, invest to build generational wealth. Wekeza! Just download the Wekeza app, create your account, research your companies, and own fractional or whole shares in US publicly traded companies. You are now an investor. Wekeza has one empowering objective: financial inclusion. Democratize investing for Africa and the diaspora. Wekeza. Envision a world when citizens of African countries and who also reside in the
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wealth Advisors panel. My name is Kayla Seepersad, a finance major here at the University of Notre Dame. That Wekeza, I was looking for an investing app. Robinhood has been getting my head all crazy, but I guess I'm going to start going into that. But thank you to our wonderful financial guides panel and their moderator, Sienna. That was super insightful. I hope you guys took notes. As before, audience, please do not hesitate to write any comments, questions, or concerns in the chat. And as you saw before, it'll pop up. But I'm super excited to get started with this. So here's a question for you in the audience today. Are you guys investing? Let us know. Now, we want you guys to get the most out of this panel that you can. So the conversation of wealth has opened up and become more accessible to the average person. In fact, the New York Life Investment Management did a study of people who control most of the personal wealth in the US. And guess what? Women do. Women control 51% of the personal wealth here in the US, an estimated 22 trillion worth. But they are still a minority when it comes to wealth advisory. To talk about wealth today, we have Tiffany McGee, founder and CIO of Pivotal Advisors, and Jacqueline Campbell, president, CEO, and senior wealth advisor at the Alexander Legacy Private Wealth. So before we jump into that statistic, I want to hear a little bit about your background, ladies.
All right. Hello. Thank you so much for having us on. Hi, Tiffany. I'm so excited to be joining you today in this discussion. Super cool information. The last panel, oh my gosh, we could have went on for hours. So again, so thrilled to be here with everyone this afternoon. So again, my name is Jacqueline Campbell. All my friends call me Jack. So hopefully we can develop some new friendships after our conversation today. Again, very thrilled to be here. I represent Alexander Legacy, where I'm founder and CEO. We literally just launched less than 10 days ago, so we are so excited. So thank you again, Sabrina and the World of Money team for having us on, and we're just thrilled to get into our discussion today. So with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague.
Hi, everyone, and congrats on your launch. I'm very excited about that. Super excited. So my name is Tiffany McGee. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Investment Officer at Pivotal Advisors. We are the first and only African-American, woman-owned, and Afro-Latina-owned institutional chief investment. We call it OCIO firm, so outsourced chief investment firm in the U.S. And so we're super excited about that. We manage money for foundations, endowments, institutional retirement plans. I heard someone earlier talking about retirement plans, so we manage it at the plan level. Do some work with pensions and also in the U.S. 401ks and 403bs, and also work with family offices as well. I'm also a CNBC contributor. I'm on halftime every single week. It's the depending on where you are in the world. It is the show at noon if you are on the East Coast. In the U.S. It's a really exciting show. And then I am also the founder of Stock Savvy, which basically is a weekly stock market commentary geared towards women.
All right, that is awesome. We have two amazing women with us here today, obviously experts in their field. So let's talk about it. What should women do right now, today, to develop some wealth?
Well, I'll jump in. As I think about right now, especially with everything going on in the world right now, especially all the favor that's been going on with women and everything that we know has really led us to this moment. I think the biggest thing that I just start with is I start with the basics of mindset and just making sure that we're very intentional about ensuring that our mindset is around give. I say give, save, spend to win, win, win in that order. And what I mean by that is that when we have a mindset where we first make sure that we're sowing into ourselves, we're sowing into our future, then the well never seems to run dry. I told somebody I never met a poor giver. And so when we think about that, it's being very intentional about using your money as a tool and making sure that you are the one directing your money accordingly. Far often I see too many women spend the money first. Then if they have any money left over, they say, okay, I'll save a little bit of that. And then if they have any money left over, then they might give a little change in the offering plate, right? And it's like, no, right? As I study some of the world's major philanthropists, both dead and alive, what I found it was that they had this philosophy of gifting. So I just want to start there. I would say just making sure that we have that mindset.
All right, Tiffany, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. And so, one of the things that always bugged me, I've worked on Wall Street for the past, 16, 17 years. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that always really annoyed me was the fact that Wall Street does not speak to women. And so particularly in the US, I think, Kyla, you gave a stat about 52%. So exactly in the US, women control 60% of the wealth. Oh, and by the year 2030, it's going to be 75%. We make the majority of the buying decisions in the household, 87%, and in communities of color, it's even higher. But yet they are not talking to us. And when you look at the messaging geared towards men and women, towards women, it's always, oh, save and sacrifice and don't buy those shoes and do this, and do that, like we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. When you approach this stuff, if you have to just, let's do a plan and let's get everything together. Listen, I'm not saying you don't do that, but that seems like homework. Well, when people are talking to men, they're talking about the hottest stocks and how you can make money. Mm-hmm. So I want people to understand the difference, because when you load up all of those things that you have to do, and for people that are not in our industry, it seems very intimidating. So now I'm telling you, you have to, do all this homework beforehand. You have to kind of gather, all your finances and do all this stuff, even before you think about making a stock purchase. And that's a deterrent. Again, I'm not saying don't save, right? We all have to have financially responsible practices. But I want women, everyone who's listening right now, to understand that you can buy stock in 2 minutes. And you were already making buying decisions. You all are making decisions about what toothpaste to buy, what toilet paper to buy, right? What hair products to use, right? You use a hair product, you tell your friends, it goes viral. Makeup, everything. We control and drive industries, and a stock purchase is a buying decision. So you already have the power within you, right? You can use an advisor. I know, Kyla, we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
You can use an advisor for things, but you do not need an advisor right now to buy a share of stock. You can do it on your cell phone.
That is so true. Like nowadays, there are so many apps that are available for us. And we'll talk about that a little later. But I want to and super quickly, how do you guys each define wealth? And then we're going to jump right into investments.
Well, I always like to bring things back to an acronym because it keeps me it keeps me in alignment. So when I think about wealth, I think about the acronym wealth, W. When everyone acknowledges legacy is the heir. So if you take wealth and you break it down, WEALTH, that's how I view wealth. I'm very, very focused on the fact, and again, the name of my firm is Alexander Legacy, because the fact of the matter is that when we understand that wealth is so much more than the physical element of money, we get to really approach wealth very, very differently. Some of the greats that I work with, they're approaching wealth with a 100-year view in the future. They're not only thinking about what their situation is, they're already looking at what their children's situation is. So they have a very long-term view to the approach of building wealth. And so that's where it really starts. And so I'll leave it there. But as I think about wealth, it really is a long-term view. It's not something that happens, essentially overnight. However, with the right focus, with the right advisory, with the right counsel, then that's where we start to really kind of take it brick by brick by brick. And so that's my 2 cents on wealth.
Mm-hmm. Tiffany, you had anything to add?
Sure. Yeah. My mom always told me, from the time I was very young, to have your own money. And, that's not knocking, whatever partner or union you might, ultimately be involved in or come to be involved in. In my mom's words, and my parents have been married for 50 years. In my mom's words, she always told me, husbands die and marriages break up.
It's true.
And it was just to instill in me to always be independent. It's okay to let someone take care of you, but you also need to have the ability to be independent, right? And I think, not just in the US, all over the world, it's sometimes, it's sometimes hard because we're socialized just so differently, right? And I just also want to say that this is not, it really isn't even a racial thing, right? Across all lines, women are socialized in a different way, but we do need to have our own money. And even though I manage portfolios for institutions, when I make decisions about my own portfolio, when I make a buying decision, when I buy stock, I feel empowered. And I think that is just so important for everybody listening to understand that we can do this ourselves.
Yes, here for the women empowerment. So what philosophy do you have when it comes to investing? Because people just think that investing is throw some money at a stock or a bond or a fund and, it's just going to grow. But we have to come in with a specific mindset before we even get into it. So tell me about your philosophy for investing. Either one can go first.
Yeah, so I'll start. So first of all, the interesting thing is that women make better investors than men, right? And so every single large financial company, every single year does a women's study, and it all says the same thing, right? So we tend to do more research. We tend to create a plan. We tend to stick to a plan. And so I think that we're already we're naturally already doing those things. So I'm just here to tell you that that's what we're doing. And I think that it is really important to do those things. Do your research in terms of your philosophy. Typically, and not to get too technical, but we use a core and satellite approach. Understanding the difference between stocks and bonds and also mutual funds. You should have actually a combination of all of those things, right? So, mutual funds allow you to get access to broad markets, right? And then you can also buy individual stocks, and don't be afraid to buy individual stocks, right? So there's a lot of money in that as well. And so understanding how those different types of products work is just really incredibly important.
Absolutely. And I'll jump in. And when I think about the investment philosophy, especially, and thank you, Tiffany, for bringing up, the fact that women are just doing such a dynamic job, as it relates to growing wealth and really becoming more intentional about educating themselves on the topic of wealth, which is, again, why we're all here today. So, first of all, congratulations. This is where it starts, right? It starts by being in the room with amazing people who are tried, tested, and proven, who've been in this industry a long time, who can give you this information and these nuggets of wisdom, for free, and then you, again, taking the time to truly execute, right, on some of these items, which is really where the real power begins, right? Going out after today, buying that stock, becoming that shareholder, really feeling what it takes to not only go there, but then understanding what it means to be a shareholder, what it means to receive a dividend, like really start to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's wealthy and building that portfolio. That's truly where it starts. When I think of my investment philosophy, I love innovation. I think there's a lot of innovation happening right now. We're really seeing some beautiful things happen out here in the marketplace where ideas are turning into real life businesses that are thriving. A lot of startup activity starting to pick up. So those are things that I'm really interested in. I love impact, naturally with everything happening in the world right now, from pandemic to racial injustice. I think there's a lot of opportunity to really play smart and play long in that space. And so those are really two areas that are super intriguing right now as we think about our philosophy.
Ooh, I'm so excited. I love impact investing and then focusing on ESGs, but let's talk about getting started right now. Like when we make that investment decision, there's no time to wait. It's like we are great planners, we know what we want, but then there's, like they mentioned in the last panel, there's that fear factor that, is this good enough? There's always a standard that women hold themselves up to that they feel they must achieve before they take that final step. But that's obviously not the case, and both of you have mentioned that here. So when making an investment decision right now, what do we need to think about? What should we be aware of? What are some pointers that we should keep in mind?
What I think the biggest thing is starting with really I look at three core areas. Number one, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Because again, all of it sounds fun, making money, but what does that really mean? When you make the money, what do you want to do with it? So having the opportunity to sit down and really do a plan that says, when I get to my magic number, whatever that might be, like, what does that mean? And then that's what's really beautiful about planning, is that you get to write that vision, put it down, begin with the end in mind, and then we backtrack into a real plan to get you to that place of success. So what are your goals? What's the time frame of those goals? And what kind of tolerance are you willing to take for risk? Those are things that every fiduciary is going to ask an investor, before you kind of say, let's jump right into the ocean. Like, slow down. We want to do this. We want to make sure we do this the right way. So again, understanding those goals, dreams, and priorities, understanding what your time frame is, whether we have a year, whether we have 50 years, and again, understanding that appetite for risk and really helping to be your partner throughout that process.
Yeah, so I'll add, and that was perfect, Jacqueline. We also touched earlier on ESG, and so when you're thinking about what to invest in, especially again, Jacqueline mentioned with all that's going on in the world, but especially in the U.S., my company, we invest through an ESG lens. And so what that is environmental, social, and governance metrics. And so a lot of people think that it's socially conscious investing or values investing, and it's really not. So when we are looking at the metrics of a stock, of a fund, of a strategy to make an investment decision, there are certain things that we look at. And what ESG investing is taking the environmental, social, and governance metrics of a company, right, of a business, a publicly traded company or strategy, and lining them up alongside the traditional financial metrics that we would use to make an investment decision, like performance, like I'm going to get really nerdy here: alpha, beta, standard deviation, R squared, Sharpe ratio, all those nerdy things. And the whole idea is that those metrics of a company give you lots of information about those companies, right? So those companies who have those responsible metrics, it tends to lead to the identification of companies with strong management, and those companies tend to outperform. So there is a direct link with the responsible metrics and performance. And it also helps you to mitigate risk. So I want people to understand that you can bring these metrics in and consider these metrics when you're making an investment decision. But it can also be socially conscious, right? So if you are invested in an index fund, right? Index funds aren't bad, right? They're used to gain access to the broad market. But if the two largest owners of privatized prisons are BlackRock through their iShares index fund and Vanguard. If you are invested in those funds and you have a commitment to racial equity, you may not want to be invested in privatized prisons. So understanding what you own is just very, very important.
Yes, that actually is a big problem when people start investing, especially recently with that whole AMC and GameStop. That share boom, that's so crazy. Like,
happy to break that.
But all right, I know somebody asked a question. Are there any investment apps that you guys suggest? So we got a professional opinion on this.
Yeah, I can just jump in. So first of all, it depends on what you want to do. I have access to everything because of what I do for a living. But in addition to my investment account and my retirement accounts, I also have Robinhood. I think Robinhood is the coolest, quickest, funnest thing ever. And it allows me to buy stock in seconds. So I like Robinhood. There are a number of other apps out there. There's Stash, lots of other things. There's also Acorns, which is more kind of geared towards, saving. One of the other things that I use too is Just Capital. So Just Capital is a site that you can go on. And if you're looking to find out the practices of the companies that you're invested in, right? So diversity, right? George Floyd's murder changed the entire world. All these companies came out and said, they didn't say, let's all get along. They didn't say we need to do better. They said Black Lives Matter. And then they backed it up. A lot of them, they backed it up with plans of action. We're going to hire XYZ amount of, Black professionals. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, when a company comes out and makes a public statement about one of those metrics, the EDS and the G, research shows that over time, if they have measured progress over time, with that commitment, their stock price goes up. If they make that public statement and they don't have measured progress, the stock price goes down. You can track all these metrics on just.com. So, on justcapital.com, and it's free. So if you want to know, if you want to invest in, Nike or Starbucks or any publicly traded company, you can go on justcapital.com and you can look at their diversity practices. You can look at how much carbon they're emitting in the environment and all of these things and make an informed decision.
Jacqueline, go ahead and add on if you want. I know the audience is they're going for it right now. You guys are.
That was so good. I mean, I have nothing else to add. She gave you all the top. I mean, I don't want to give you anything else. I mean, I think that was amazing. And what you just described, that last, I never heard of that. So I had to write that one down. That was good. Yeah, we got to hold these companies accountable. I love it. That's exactly the type of research and resource that will ensure that we're making informed decisions. And so thank you so much for covering that. I have nothing to add.
Actually, I would like to ask both of you as we, kind of wrap up our panel, what advice would you give to women, just personally, when they start learning to be confident in their finances? Obviously we have a question here that, should I pay an advisor or should I do it for myself? What mentality, what advice, as a final note, would you give to these women as they start to become more empowered in the financial aspects of their lives?
Okay, there we go. Woo, I think when, and Tiffany mentioned this earlier, when you have your own money, there is a confidence that just kind of a little swag that comes with that. And again, your own money, you describe what that might look like, but the power, and again, paying yourself first, no matter what comes in the door, whether it's $1, $1,000, $5,000, whatever that might be, have a habit of putting some off the top away so that is always there for you. Because I'll tell you, there's confidence in knowing as a woman, life can happen. I mean, I've been in a situation where I've gone from 2 incomes to 1 income to no income to starting a business. Hello? Mm-hmm. But if I did not have that money or that portfolio set aside, because if I wasn't practicing what I preach, I would have been in real big trouble. So I say all that to say, let me empower you. Hopefully after today, let us all empower you to take care of you first and to make sure that you do have something set aside, because that will give you confidence to be able to make some bold decisions when you have some money and some capital and collateral to help back you up.
All right.
So I saw the question in the chat, and I think that it's a good way to end the panel. So first, you can do this yourself. But I think, you have to know how to go about doing it yourself. And so there's so much resource. There are so many resources out there. It's a simple Google search. It really is. And if you're deciding to work with a professional, which you absolutely can, interview. I started off my career at Merrill Lynch. And one thing that was painfully obvious is that people think that financial professionals know everything, and they don't. I would also say make them work to earn your business. If there's a financial advisor that you're talking to, interview different ones. Ask them how they make their money. That's not an offensive question. You should ask them. Ask them if they're a fiduciary, and what that means is, and I have a quick example. If you're running a marathon and you're sweaty and tired at the end of that marathon, there's someone standing there and they have to give you something to drink. They have water in one hand and they have wine in the other hand. A fiduciary, by law, has to give you the water because it's the best thing for you. The advisor who's not a fiduciary can give you legally the water or the wine, and it's fine. And it's not a bad thing. An advisor is not a bad thing, but you have to know when to use an advisor and when you need to use a fiduciary. Mm-hmm. And you find that out through interviewing them. Make them work for your money. You can ask them for references. And I will tell you, you also have to understand how advisors get paid. A lot of times it's under assets under management, right? And so if you have, let's just say, if you have $1 million, average is like 1%. That's $10,000 for the entire year to that advisor. If they're working for somebody else, that money is cut. I want to give you an idea of how much they're making. So if you have $100,000, that's much less money into that advisor's pocket. So a lot of times when you're going to these big firms, you're not going to be with the best advisor. If they'll even take on your account, they'll put you with someone who's brand new. So ask, how long have you been doing this? What licenses do you have? And if you're going to be with someone who's a financial planner, right? They might charge you just a flat fee. That might be a better route for you if you're just starting out and you really want guidance and you still want to invest, but you want to be able to look at the whole picture. So understanding that is going to help you to understand which financial professional is best for you.
Excellent. Oh gosh, this is so exciting. There's so much more that we could have spoken about, but I want to thank both of you for being on this panel with me. Oh my goodness. Well, I was moderating. I had nothing to drop, but thank you guys so much. Audience, stay tuned. Next up, we have the Home Experts panel. So get excited for that. Make sure, don't put that pen down. It's coming. And we're going to head back to World of Money Studio. So thank you.
What if I told you your child could become an educated consumer, investor, entrepreneur, and a philanthropist, all from the comfort of your laptop or mobile phone?
And could learn how to manage one of the world's most powerful currencies, money.
It's true. I'm Sienna.
And I'm Dante, and we are both World of Money Youth Board members.
I know firsthand how life-changing it is to be financially capable. When I was 11, my parents enrolled me and my siblings in the World of Money Institute, where I learned how to budget, invest, and donate my money.
I first attended World of Money when I was 12, and now, like us, over 5,000 young people globally and growing. Your child also can become financially educated with the World of Money online course.
This award-winning financial education program is tailored for ages 7 through 21. Our course provides 160 self-guided lessons, videos, activities, quizzes, live homerooms, and scheduled town halls.
During the course, your child will learn about budgeting and saving, compound interest, artificial intelligence, and so much more.
Give your child the foundation for their financial security and generational wealth. Register for the World of Money online course today.
TheWorldOfMoney.org.
Developing financially responsible adults,
one child at a time.
Hello, everyone. That was an awesome commercial. Those were very informative panels on financial guidance and wealth advisorship. Coming up next, I will be joined by my colleague Kayla for our financial legacy panel, followed by our entrepreneurs panel. So get excited. But first, let's talk about owning real estate. So hi, my name is Monica Soyemi, and I am a real estate agent, a real estate investor in New York City, as well as an advocate for financial education. So welcome to the Home Experts panel. Now, in just a moment, I will be joined by some incredible home experts. They are going to share with you lots of great information on real estate and the importance of real estate for true wealth building. So, all of that said, I want to start this off for you with a couple of facts so you can know the state of emergency that we are in. The first fact, did you know the average expected net worth of a homeowner is $195,000, $400, versus tenants with an expected net worth of $5,400. That is homeowners statistically having a net worth of 36 times the net worth of tenants. There are still many challenges that women homebuyers are facing. I'd like to discuss some of the positive real estate trends I'm seeing for us women, but also the gap that still needs to be closed. But let's bring to the stage our awesome home experts panel. Welcome to the stage, Felicia Palmer, who is the CEO of So. We have Trish Mead with R New York. Welcome. Finally, we have Jillian White, who is the head of collateral at better.com. Welcome, Jillian. Welcome to the panel, ladies. Please take a minute or less to introduce yourselves. Time, but once you get all the information, and all the audience, while they introduce, please answer this question in the comments. Have you ever considered investing in real estate? Let us know in the comments down below. But to kick it off, Felicia, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am here in Jersey City, New Jersey. I bought my first house at the age of 26, the first person in my family to go to college into my home. And home ownership has been the key to foundations for me to pivot in other areas and build my own business and use equity in real estate to build other areas of my life. So very excited about this panel.
Yes, welcome. Yes. And Trish, welcome. Please share something, share your background with the audience, a minute or less.
Monica, I think Trish is just having some technical difficulty looking here at the chat.
Okay. Alrighty, Trish, we're going to circle back to you. So Jillian, would you please introduce yourself to our wonderful audience?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian White, and I am a real estate appraiser. I've been appraising real estate for the past 18 years. The first 13 years of my career, I was an entrepreneur and had an appraisal company. And then 5 years ago, I joined a...
Hi, guys. I'm having some audio issues, so I can't hear you, but I'm Trish Mead. I am a real estate salesperson, and I am an advocate of financial education. I believe in real estate. I think that it's one of those things that are really important and about driving economics and wealth generation. I'm going to work on my audio issues in the meantime, so I apologize.
No problem. Welcome, Trish. Sorry about that. Jillian, would you please continue? Sorry.
Sure. So I've been appraising for 18 years. The first 13 years of my career, I had my own residential real estate appraisal company based in New York. And then 5 years ago, I joined a mortgage lender called Better Mortgage, and I run their collateral department. And so one of the teams that I manage is the appraisal team.
Wow. Okay. Well, welcome, ladies. Trish, we'll hang tight. I'm guessing the audio will get better. Great. So let's kick this off. We have 30 minutes to really knock this information out. So this first question is to the whole panel, but specifically for Jillian. So for Jillian, single women are the second largest group of home buyers, surpassed only by married couples. Yet, single men's homes are worth 10% more than single women's. And single men's homes also appreciate 16% faster. So as real estate professionals, what are your thoughts and advice on this?
Monica, this is a great question, because this stat about the differences in terms of the appreciation of homes, it's something that was brought to my attention fairly recently. And so I think it reinforces, number one, like the pink tax. Women, we make about 79 cents on the dollar. We pay more for our haircuts, for our dry cleaning, and now we don't even experience the same rate of appreciation when we purchase properties. So So for women in particular, I think that are so much higher in terms of really being in the know and educating yourself about the process regarding home buying and your real estate and your assets. And so one thing I want to point to in regards to the appraisal process and how like appreciation, well, one of the prevailing theories as to why women experience less appreciation is because they have less money to invest into a property. So they're buying less expensive homes and perhaps homes that aren't in as good a condition as our single male counterparts. So that's one thought as to why there's this gap there. But as a homeowner, it's so important to know what goes into the valuation of your home, what adds value to your home, what detracts value. And so just like a brief overview of how it works, specifically in mortgage lending, appraisers use something called sales comparison approach. And that means they compare your house to other houses in the area that are similar. And so the definition of similar is square footage, bedroom count, overall appeal. But it's also very important to know that the appraiser is going to be looking for properties that are proximate. And they define proximity most of the time as being within about a mile. And then they're looking for sales, homes that have sold recently. And the definition of recent to an appraiser is about 6. So just being in the know and paying attention to what's going on in your market. If it's 2 or 3 miles out, know that the appraiser probably isn't going to consider that. And then if it sold 2 years ago, the appraiser also probably isn't going to consider that. And really having the opportunity to like keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in your neighborhood, I think that's incredibly key. And then also too, educating yourself on how to speak the real estate appraisal language, because it's a different language than what you and I speak on a day-to-day basis. And so one example of that is square footage. The way the appraiser calculates the square footage is very different than the way a homeowner would calculate it. And so if you think of like a townhome that has 2 levels and a finished basement, as the homeowner, you're like, oh, this is great. I have 3 floors. I'm living in all the space. Let's say each floor is 1,000 square feet. The homeowner is like, oh, my house is 3,000 square feet. For the appraiser, they're going to calculate it differently. They're only going to count the square footage in the first and the second floors, the ones that are above grade. The basement, they're not going to include in the calculation. So when you're looking for comparable sales in your neighborhood that are within 1 mile and sold in the past 6 months, it's really also very important to understand how your appraiser is assessing it and things calculated square footage. So you want to compare your home to other 2,000 square feet, not 3,000 square foot homes, because that's not what's going to translate in the appraisal report. So I think that's really key towards educating ourselves and beginning to close this gap, because we're already operating in some instances at a deficit.
Thank you so much for that, Jillian. That was very helpful. It just made me think about, I'm currently in the process of refinancing a home, and I thought the valuation would come in at $575. It came in at $515, and I spoke with the appraiser to ask, what valuations did you use? It turned out that they were using a home that needed a gut renovation as a comp for mine. And because of that, we were able to get another $25,000 of equity. And the equity is the real power here. So I wanted to move this over to Felicia. Thank you so much for that, Jillian. Felicia, on your journey and in what you're experiencing right now, I just wanted to say, when our older relatives pass away, they usually own land. And often we sell it out of the family because we don't want to be bothered. So how should we start attacking this kind of crisis, in our communities with keeping real estate? And tell us a little bit about your journey and how you didn't even need a bank to finance your business.
Yeah, I wanted to also address the question that was asked as to when you should buy. And I think that you should buy as soon as you're ready to live. If you're ready to go out on your own and you're in a position to buy, then you should be buying. And when I say if you're in a position, that means if you've got money to pay rent, then you've got money to buy a house. It really doesn't take that much more. And we can talk about what that looks like. But I bought my first house at the age of 26. I was the first person in my family, like I mentioned. And I just basically borrowed, my FHA only required 3% down payment. They still have that program. And you only have to go a certain few $1,000s down, and now you're in a home. But my journey was what I did with my home, and I always encourage people to do this, is I bought a 2-family. And by buying a 2-family, I lived in the smaller, not as nice apartment. I rented out the other one, providing me with rental income. And I bought it in a neighborhood that was just coming up. Downtown Jersey City at that time is not what it is now, 25 years later. So when I bought it, I bought my house for $100,000. There were drug dealers on the corner. There were kids hanging out, and I had to thug it out, but I'm from the Bronx, so I was okay with that. So I did that, and 25 years later, I had a house for over $1 million, I think 1.2 right now. So wow, being able to leverage the equity from that home allowed me to buy other properties, but also allowed me to finance my my media company. As you know, most of the time when people are going out for business loans or business financing, they tell you that you have to have experience, you have to have money and income in order to get this. Well, if you have equity in your home, you're now in a position to leverage that equity into the business that you're looking to start. And that's essentially how I was able to finance my business over the last 25 years without a bank lending me money. And so just to answer your question about, yeah, you asked about land, moving land. We also have land in Virginia that was given to us by family. And I have to say just really quickly, do not sell your land. There were many years that I wanted to sell the land because I just couldn't afford to keep it up. I couldn't afford to keep up the house. Couldn't deal with the responsibility. But now, you know, last year during COVID, we spent the whole year on our 40 acres of land in Virginia. Wow. And we did not have with everyone else, you know, under the conditions that folks were in. So I just want to encourage people, do not sell your family property. Just put it in endowment, pay the taxes on it, keep it until somebody is in a position to do something with the property.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That is that. Yes, please.
I just want to piggyback on what Felicia said. That is so on point. I think that we need to start educating our kids from a young age about the importance of the land or the property. I've seen so many families where mom and dad toiled to get the brownstone, and then when they pass, the kids either, you know, sell it, and because they don't want to deal with the responsibility. And this is how you build generational wealth. So, and I think it's lessons that have to be taught from when they're knee high to understand the struggle that their parents had to encounter to get this property, and it wasn't easy. And so they understand the backstory of how this house became part of their family legacy.
That is so true. Yeah.
That's the key. It's really teaching them. That's why world of money is so important. My kids are world of money graduates as well. And teaching them from a very young age that they have to keep the family land. It is not a request. It is an obligation because your ancestors work for it, and it's your job to pass that down to your children. So, yeah.
I'm so inspired by this, ladies. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, you know, I think that our audience is very excited about looking into purchasing real estate. So just as like a step one for someone who's never considered investing, for someone who knows nothing about the world of real estate, what should women do starting today, right now, to own a piece of the earth? What is one thing they can start doing today?
I mean, I think, oh, sorry. I would just say that I think, you know, the obvious answer is save your money. But I think that before you, I mean, and that definitely is part of it, but I think you have to know yourself. I always tell people that I work with, know what your TLC is. That's your total lifestyle cost. That's, you know, you don't want your house to be, it should be a blessing, not a burden. And just because the bank tells you that you can afford a $500,000 house, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can. You need to be able to take that information, look at your money, know what you can really afford, and then, you know, start looking. And I think the other thing is that you should be firm with your goal and flexible about the execution. Like Felicia said, moving into a neighborhood that was on the up and coming, you might get more house, less money, but you might have to deal with some, you know, elements that you might not necessarily want to deal with, or you have a longer commute. So you don't have to be so steadfast and fixed about what you want, but know what you want, but be open to be flexible, I think is what I would encourage people to do.
And I would encourage people, start researching and having conversations with people about homeownership if you think it at any point in time you want to purchase a property, because so many of our borrowers come in thinking that they are ready, mentally they are ready, but financially they aren't, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of, you know, the credit repair for a down payment and the closing costs and the reserves that they need to have on file. So start the conversations now and educate yourself on, okay, I need to raise my credit score by X amount of points in the next 6 months, so that when you are both mentally ready, you'll also be ready as well.
Yeah, I would suggest that folks get in immediately, find a realtor. Even if you're not ready to buy, get in touch with a realtor, because your realtor is going to be your right hand working with you. I know you're a realtor, and you're going to be the one guiding them through the process. So find someone you really like and figure out where you want to be, and go in that neighborhood. Not only during the day when it's a nice and sunny Saturday, go in the evening when people hang out and see what you're really going to be dealing with. And be willing to do that. If that's where the appreciation is going to come from, you're not going to get it from a neighborhood that's already established. You got to be willing to wait a while and to thug it out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm learning the value of that too. You know, even purchasing a home in what some might say is not the best neighborhood, you know, you gotta really wait it out. I know friends who purchased in Harlem 20 years ago, and Harlem was the place to be 20 years ago, or maybe more than that. But it's an awesome thing. So my next question to the panel is, your first property, let's say someone's never bought a property before. Should your first property be a primary residence, someplace that you're living, or should it be a rental property? Is there a way to combine the two?
Well, yeah, I did the two family, right? So the first property should be your primary residence, in my opinion, because you're getting to know what it takes to care for a home. You know, that first, they call it a starter home for a reason, because everything needs help and repair. And it's your job as a homeowner to figure out how to do simple things like unclog the toilet. I mean, if you've been renting all your life, or if you've never had your own place, it's a lot of minor maintenance like that regularly has to be done. I think it's important for people to live in the property that they're living in before they start to get into other investments, so that they understand what it takes to manage and upkeep a home. And then you can learn how to do certain things like put up sheetrock and paint a wall, as opposed to having to outsource all of those costs in the future if you want to do renovations.
Felicia, I'm going to offer a different perspective, because I'm in this boat right now. So I live in Manhattan. I am currently renting, and I was looking to purchase a property, but the properties here are so expensive, and I'm like, well, maybe I start someplace else with in a less expensive area, and kind of build up to it. So there are a lot of resources out there. Like currently, there's something called Roofstock, where you go and they're rental properties where you can purchase them with the tenants inside of the properties. And so at my job, a lot of people have expressed interest in that and are investing in it. And so I'm like, well, maybe I should buy a property in a different state. Maybe I should buy a cluster in a different state versus buying one primary residence in New York. So I think a lot of it also has to do with the market that you're in, and what your price point is, and also what your long-term aspirations are, because I don't know for how long I'll be in here now that I'm working at home, and will be for the foreseeable future. There's a flexibility in where I live that I never had before. And so I'm like, well, before I lay roots here in New York City, maybe I want to explore other places. Just another viewpoint on it.
And I just want to add to that, and I think that's what the beauty of real estate is that there's something for everyone, and you just need to know yourself, know what your goals are, and figure out what form of real estate fits in helping you reach your goals. There's no answer that's going to fit everyone, and that's the great thing about it. And that's why I encourage people, find what works for you, and go for it.
Thank you, ladies. I wish we had more time. This is our last question. Once again, I want to say thank you so much to the panelists for being with us today. So to wrap it up, our last question is, what would you recommend for first-time homebuyers? What is one actionable step? What is one recommendation you would give to anyone who is here on this panel, in the audience, and who wants to buy a home and as a first-time home buyer? What is one thing you would share with them?
Like I said,
I would say,
go ahead, Trish. Go ahead, Trish.
I was going to say, know yourself. Normalize having these kind of conversations with other homeowners or with your friends. I think that we do these things in vacuums sometimes, and that sometimes that knowledge that comes from the cooperative effort is what we need. Talk, research, save, and know what you want, what your end game is, and then try to figure out what type of real estate fits best for your goals.
Trisha, I like to piggyback off of that. I was actually going to say the same thing, like know yourself, what your goals are, but also have the courage to have these financial conversations with people. As an appraiser, I got in the habit, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I got in the habit of asking people, how much did you pay for your house? How much was this renovation? And it's really important to know, because as you have these conversations, you get a sense of pricing and, how much of a down payment other people are making and what the expenses of home ownership are. And so I think you'll be in a much better position if you have a handful of these conversations under your belt than somebody who's going into it completely blind and they've never spoken dollars and cents with anybody.
Very, very true. And
I'll just say that, I just think that home ownership, real estate, I feel is very, very accessible to most of us now. In the past we've had issues, and there is still issues with redlining in certain areas. But unlike things like stock, which a lot of us are just starting to kind of get involved in, real estate is tangible. It's an area where it appreciates in most cases, and it's an area where you can grow into, and you can really make gain. So I would just say, just get comfortable with it. Don't look at it as something that other people do. Look at it as something that you can do. That, like, there's really the only thing stopping you is just really your own inner. Everything's available now to go for it.
Yes. So thank you. Yes. So I think an actionable step everyone can take away is making sure you know yourself. Get an idea of what's going to be right for you. Consider a 2-family, maybe a 3-family. You can rent, if you buy a 3-family or a 2-family, live in one apartment, you can rent the rest out. And like Jillian said, make sure that you are knowing what gives value to your home. Some things that you should keep an eye out for. So ladies, once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. So how can everyone reach you? Let us know.
Email Felicia@sohh.com. I don't do social media very much. So if you want me, email me.
And you can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm Jillian, SRA, which stands for Senior Residential Appraiser. So Jillian White, SRA on LinkedIn.
You can reach me, in addition to doing real estate, you can reach me at trish@worldofmoney.org. That's the best place.
Okay. Thanks again, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Evelyn and Beatrice, and we live in Nairobi, Kenya. Financial education is not taught in our schools, and most parents are unable to teach their children.
We are very happy that you can learn how to manage our money using the World of Money app.
It's really great.
And there's so much to learn.
The World of Money app is very easy.
Even adults can learn from it.
Learn, earn, save, invest, donate.
Wow, that is awesome. Oh my goodness, that brought me back. Learn, earn, save, invest, donate.
Nairobi, Kenya. Elimu ya fedha haifunzi shuleni na wazazi wengi hawawezi kuwafunza watoto wao.
Tunafurahia sana. Tunaweza kujifunza jinsi ya kumanage pesa zetu tukitumia app ya World of Money.
I think the audio is still playing in the back.
Na kuna mengi ya kujifunza.
App ya World of Money ni rahisi sana.
Hata maada wanaweza kujifunza pia.
Jifunze
Pata mapato, hifadhi, wekeza, toa msaada.
Well, okay, part 2.
There we go.
Here we are. Well, hello, Kayla. How are you?
I'm doing great today. I am so happy to be back on this panel co-moderating with you.
Yes, here we go. So even though real estate is my favorite topic, and it was such a pleasure having these awesome experts discuss the value of real estate, this is going to bring us to our next panel. Today's panel, we are talking all about financial legacy. So now, another way to build wealth is through estate planning. We know that we can build wealth through investing in real estate, stocks, but estate planning, there's so much importance in financial legacy. Our panelists are experts in tax, estate, wills, retirement planning. But before we welcome our panelists to the stage, and Kayla is going to do the honor of welcoming our panelists to the stage, answer this question in the chat. What percentage of women do you think have a will? Think about that. Let us know in the comments. And while you are doing that, Kayla, please welcome our awesome panel to the stage.
Yes, super exciting. We have an amazing group of experts here today. But also, guys, make sure to keep an eye on the chat, ask questions, comment. Our panelists want to help you guys learn more about creating a financial legacy. So be sure to interact to get the most out of this panel that you can. And keep an eye out for the resources that they are dropping. So today, I am so excited to introduce Jamie Coleman, a tax attorney at Williams & Coleman. Hello. Shirley Ann Robertson, an expert in retirement and the founder of Robertson & Robertson, a financial firm. And finally, we have Linda Hamilton, founder and CEO of Linda Hamilton, LLC. So as Monica had said before, each of these ladies have expertise across tax, estate planning, and financial services.
Yes.
Who's excited?
I did want to share a quick fact with everyone before we hop into these questions. Did you know that when you die without a will or no estate plan in place, your assets are subject to probate? And it is estimated that families pay $2 billion each year in probate fees. $1.5 billion of that goes to attorney fees. So ladies, that is kind of our first question. What are your thoughts on this? And what are some recommendations you have for us to lower that $2 billion number where we are really preparing ourselves for our financial legacy? We'll start off with you, Linda, please.
Great. Hi, everyone. Well, I work with taxpayers, individual taxpayers, so that it's recurring, right? Everybody files a tax return every year, and they come to me every year, year after year. And I always try to have that conversation with them. I'm not an estate planner like Jamie is, but I inform them about probate and ask them how their assets are titled, or notice that when I see their 1099s and do their tax return. So I think my advice would be to make sure that people use their annual tax return as a time to relook at their financial situation, what happened last year, and how they own their assets.
And I'm going to jump in on that one there, Monica. And kudos to you awesome ladies, Kayla and Monica. You guys are doing a great job of moderating, right? So I first have to, Sabrina is very proud of what you ladies are doing.
Thank you.
So let me add by saying this, that, legacy is key to making sure that the dollars that you want your family to get will be passed on. And Jamie is going to do a fantastic job talking about the trust. But the part that I want to hit home on, and this is something I haven't heard much of so far in our conversations, is life insurance. Mm-hmm. Life insurance has the same value today and tomorrow. And so I am so honored. I have been doing this going on 29 years, and even more honored to share the fact that my mother started the company, and my mother molded me, taught me exactly how to direct and navigate my clients. I have additional education, and then I took over the company. So talk about true legacy, getting a company, taking it over. But the blessing that I can say to you is that in doing what I've been doing for the last 29 years, there's been many a times I've been the person walking in with a check, not a bill, walking in with a check. Mm-hmm. And especially right now in this moment of COVID, the truth of it is that so many of us are experiencing this tremendous financial dis-ease. So there's so many people feeling a situation where somebody did not wake up. They went into the hospital. COVID took their life. But the honor is walking in with a life insurance check, a big one, so that the family can be taken care of. And then when I work with somebody like Jamie, we make sure that when I walk in with this check, there's specific instructions that says exactly how the person who died wants that money to be spent. And so now I'm going to toss it right over to you, Jamie, because you're going to take over from there.
Well, thank you. I have to echo the sentiments of both Linda and Shirley Ann. One of the biggest misconceptions that people often have is that you need to have a lot of money or a huge estate in order to do estate planning. And that's not the case. As Linda said, use your time whenever tax season happens every year, several times a year. When you meet with your accountant, consider that also the anniversary where you should revisit what you currently have, how is it titled, and where do you want it to go? Not just after you pass, but during your lifetime. Estate planning has a lot to do with what are you using your assets, what your assets are doing for you while you're living, right? And so what I like to tell my clients, my female entrepreneurs, is that typically you want to have 4 documents in your estate plan. You want your will, and that's the only document that really deals with your death. And the next document you want is your power of attorney. You want to have your living will, and you want to have a healthcare surrogate. And I can dive into deeper about what each of those documents do, but you want to make sure you meet with your financial advisor when you're doing your estate planning, because if you have assets like stock, like life insurance, how are they owned and who are the beneficiaries? That all ties into your estate plan. And the best example I can give you is you don't want to have your life insurance policy going to your boyfriend, but then in your will, you have everything going to your children. And if the only thing that you own is a life insurance policy, well, guess where that's going? To your boyfriend. And so that's why knowing what you have, titling it properly, knowing who the beneficiaries are is important.
And let me just add to that. You notice that, we're collectively working together. And this is really a key part of the overall financial piece. There is the accountant, there's me as the financial advisor, and then the attorney to create the document. These are the necessary key components. So this is sort of that financial team that you need so that we are here to follow your instructions, to design the right plan, to design the right products, to make sure that we're minimizing tax impact, to make sure that dollars are being dispersed. So it's a true team that you have. And you as the client, you as the person, you are the quarterback. And we're following your plays so that we can, in essence, protect you the way you want everything to be doled out. And we're following your instructions. But it's a team. It's a financial team that you've got to create.
That is so true about the power of a team. We do have a question on screen here that says, if you only work with a tax preparer, not an accountant or a CPA, and do have a life insurance policy, how should you begin to estate plan? That was from Dominique Reese.
So your estate plan, I want you to think about this holistically. So you have this team of professionals right here before you. You have your CPA, you have your financial advisor or strategist, and you have a tax attorney or in front of you. You really want to think that your plan is going to be holistic. It's going to encompass everything that you own, how do you want to expend it during your lifetime, and where do you want it to go after you leave this world, right? And so my advice is always, like Shirley Ann said, have a team. Get an attorney. You can do your estate plan by yourself. But I have seen the pitfalls of those being done by yourselves, right? So you can go to LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer, but I really encourage you to get a licensed attorney to help you develop your estate plan. And they will work in conjunction with your financial team to help develop a plan that's comprehensive and holistic for you. Every estate plan is going to be different. It's not going to look the same, but start with an attorney. And also your financial advisor and even your CPA can point you in the right direction. use the members in your financial team.
I'd like to add to that when Ms. Reese talked about tax preparers. So a tax preparer can be a CPA. It could be an enrolled agent. Some tax preparers are not licensed at all. The importance of knowing what type of tax preparer is that some people in the audience might never work with a tax attorney and may not be working with a financial advisor. So the one person they do talk to once a year is the person who helps them with their tax return. So it is important to make sure that that tax preparer, tax advisor is familiar with the issues and questions that you might have, and be able to, if you don't have a team, at least recommend people for you to talk to. So I do recommend that people look into what their needs are. I think someone on an earlier panel mentioned that. Look at your needs, look at your budget, find some free resources about taxation, which can be very complicated, and then make sure you surround yourself with the right people to be able to take care of you as you learn, because taxes are pretty complicated.
We have another question here from Claudia Granados. She said, can you talk more about trust plans? What is it and why is it important?
I'm going to jump in on this one, and then I'm going to hand it back to you, Jamie. I think the way I'd like to really speak to this is, so right now, in the event something were to happen to me in terms of disability, or even for death, I have my trust in place. An awesome person just like Jamie helped me design my trust. And my trust says, if I were to become disabled, here's exactly how money should be dispersed. When I pass away, how money should be dispersed. The trust is a fantastic instrument that allows you to control things from the grave. And I'll add to my parents. Mom and dad retired in Palm Beach. I'm trying to move back in. So the moment you see me not working anymore, that means I've been able to move back in and live with mom and dad because they got it going on financially. But in their trust documents, they have things really detailed where if anything were to happen to either one of them, monies are dispersed for the kids and grandkids so that we can't be reckless with money. I'm fortunate that I am the executor over their finances, but the key is that there are specific instructions so that my brother, who's not so good with money, he won't get his check. He'll get a monthly check, right, JB? Because there's going to be those family members who are going to blow through the money in a heartbeat. And then my sister, she's also good with money. She might get her check too. So I know that is sort of that way of you being in control of your dollars, being in control of these lump sum life insurance payments. The trust helps you do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I echo what Shirley Ann says, and I love the way she described it. A trust is how you can control your money from the grave. Now, when it comes to estate planning, a trust is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Not everybody needs one. I will tell you that my life insurance policy is a beneficiary is entitled to the trustee of my trust that I've established for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old. And can you imagine $1 million going to a 22-year-old or a 17-year-old? It would hurt themselves. They would hurt themselves. So my trust is structured that they only get a portion of the funds when they're 30, 35, and 40. And hopefully they have sustained themselves up until then. But in the event that they haven't, the trustee can also take care of them. There are so many reasons you can do a trust for. Maybe you have a family member that's on government assistance, and leaving them a large sum of money could potentially hurt them from getting government assistance. Or maybe you have a spendthrift, a child or some family member that's going to blow through the money. You may want to have a trust for that reason. But I oftentimes get the question, do I need a trust? There's so many types of trust. There's revocable, there's irrevocable, there's trust that get created once you pass. There's trust that you can create during your lifetime. But do everyone need a trust? No, and that's why you want to talk to an estate planner. For an example, I had an older lady, all she owned was her home. Well, in Florida, your homestead is protected. And when you put your homestead in a separate revocable trust, well, now you lose the homestead tax provisions that you need to receive because it's owned by an individual. All she had was her bank account and her home. Well, what we did instead was create an enhanced life estate deed where the home still stayed in her name, but at her death, it passed to a loved one. In her bank account, we did a payable on death beneficiary designation. So when she passed, it went directly to the beneficiary. No need for probate. You know, we're not a part of that $2 billion spending in probate fees. But a trust would have been unnecessary. She would have lost the tax benefits that she got by putting it in a trust, and it would have been expensive. So it's not necessarily a one size fits all thing, but it's definitely something that you should consider, and you want to start with one of your team members when it comes to your estate plan.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna go retirement back. So let's get right into that. What financial challenges can actually pause or delay retirement? So these are things that happen, and each of you can present your perspective on this.
Yeah. So Kayla, I'll answer two questions because I see the one from Claudia, and then I'm going to touch on the retirement. You know, so life insurance is sort of that love that you have for somebody. And it's the love that you say, just like how Jamie said she got a 2-year-old, which Jamie, go ahead, girl, 2-year-old baby. Whoa, I'm a little tired just thinking about that. But so life insurance is that you love somebody, because I'll think about I'm in my office. I get here in the morning. I'm an early riser, and at 7:13 I get a call from a client. And the client says to me, Shirley Ann, I need to see you. I know we're in the middle of COVID, but I really need to see you. And I said, well, you know, what's going on, Mr. D? And he says, you know, I just found out I've got stage 4 cancer. So in that moment, you know, my heart drops, but I also feel such gratitude that over the years, the 29 years he and I have been working together, he's got a wife and 3 kids that are still needing college money, that we've got a life insurance policy well into the millions. I didn't say 25,000, I said millions. And just like that question reads about term insurance versus whole life insurance, because this family is a young family, he's 51, wife is 50 years old, and they've got kids ready for college, I believe in using a whole lot of term insurance, because term insurance gives you a lot of coverage for a small amount of premium. Lot of coverage for a small amount of premium. So that was the focus for that family, where I looked at their budget, looked at their cash flow, and I found where we could do more life insurance and more term insurance. As time goes on, yes, we'll go to whole life insurance, because whole life insurance segues to that question you asked, Michaela, about retirement. Because the life insurance can now use the cash value as part of your retirement. So that will be tax-free money that you're getting from your cash value life insurance. So when you're younger, when expenses are higher, my recommendation is that we carry a lot of term insurance. But then as time goes on and we look at retirement, now we start looking at cash value. And this is where I rope in my CPA, my accountant, because part of the conversation why everybody's working cohesively together is that I'm working right lock in step with the accountant to say, here's where her income is. You know, we maxed out 401k for retirement. And now that we've done the max out for the 401k, let's start finding other vehicles so that we can be funding for retirement and doing it in the most tax efficient way. So that's why I love having my cohesive conversations, so that my accountant is guiding me on what she sees with the income. And then I'm providing the financial documents, the financial products to say life insurance, cash value, Roth, 401k, whatever it might be. And then I've got with Jamie as my backup to make sure that all these documents are really lining out direction. So I've touched on 2 things, Kayla and Monica, the life insurance necessity as well as the retirement piece. But I hope it kind of starts to bring things together on the urgency of why all of this is so a cohesive, necessary piece to bring home to have that financial team.
Mm-hmm. All right, Linda, from a tax perspective, what can we do now and work up into retirement to make sure that we hit our retirement goals and beyond?
Well, one of the things that I always recommend every year, whether you work for someone, whether you're an employee, whether you're self-employed, whether you're a gig worker, which is actually self-employed, freelancer, is to contribute to your retirement account. I think people often do not realize that the amount that you put away, one, if it's tax deductible in the current year, let's say you put away $1,000 for the year and you're in a 12% tax bracket. So that's probably going to save you $120 off your federal tax. And that's not even thinking about state and local. Some will feel, well, I don't have $1,000 at April 15th. And I would encourage them to learn that you could start now for the following year. Put away $20 a month. Put away, give up a couple of Starbucks or a magazine, and just get the habit, because it grows tax deferred over time. And the younger you are, the more time you have. I do want to say one other thing about taxes, really a follow-up from the last panel on real estate. And that's for everyone to actually understand the type of real estate that they own. It's not just your home, but let's say that there are people who invest in rental properties, but they renovate them and then flip them. They sell them. That's very common. The IRS actually looks at that as a business. So you can actually pay ordinary income tax rates on that, which are much higher. Now, if you don't sell it and you hold it for a year instead and rent it, you can then convert that income to capital gain on the sale if you can do that. So there's a lot of planning around that for people who are investing in real estate that's beyond your primary home. I really recommend that you get an understanding. There's a lot on the internet. There's a lot. Speak to your accountant and your advisors and understand what your options are. And because real estate can really bring in a great deal of money. It's tax advantage because you have deductions from depreciation. So I did want to make that point. And the last thing is to remember, if you have not made your IRA deduction yet, you still have until May 17th to do that. So everybody get those deductions in. And if you're self-employed, if you file an extension, you can get all the way till October.
See, I love that, Linda. See, Linda, you warm my heart because I owe the IRS, so I need to wait till May 17th to write my check. But I saw a question that popped up about, if I don't have an employer, what do I do for my retirement? And the answer to that question, just like what Linda said, the gig employees, those are self-employed people. An IRA, you can get a tax deduction. So you absolutely can still be saving for your retirement, even though you don't have the traditional 401k. By doing an IRA for a tax deduction, the Roth won't give you a tax deduction, but you still can use that as a retirement vehicle. But yes, Linda, you warm my heart when you mentioned retirement tax deduction, real estate tax deductions, because that right there has been a game changer for me. It really helps me. Right, Monica? Did that make a difference? Absolutely.
Depreciation plus it being passive income, active income is taxed higher. Plus, it's a lot of things.
Absolutely. But then I've got my Jamie to make sure that my property moves well in the event when I pass away. So all of these things are so necessary as a cohesive conversation.
Well,
I just wanted to add just one thing and just kind of like maybe tie the bow in case people were unclear about how we should start our retirement. I'm not an insurance planner. I'm not an insurance advisor or anything, but I think the most simplest way is to get a life insurance policy. And I think when you're young, you're going to find that you get a life insurance policy, like Shirley Ann said, you're going to pay less if you get a term policy for so much coverage. Maybe 80 years, $500,000 to $1 million for $25 if you're young and healthy, right? But and I'm not an insurance agent. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. But to also, as retirement planning, this is why that comes into play, is that if you do happen to convert your product to a cash value, or you can borrow from it, by the time you go to retire, let's just say at 62, you're going to be at a higher tax bracket than you are currently for the young people, right? Young people, you may be married, you may have just bought your first home, you may have some kids. By the time you turn 62, maybe you're divorced or your spouse is deceased, your house is paid off, and your kids are out of your home. So your tax deductions are less. Your filing status could be different. So you're going to be in a higher tax bracket. when you go to pull out money from your 401k or your IRA, you're going to then be taxed on those funds at your higher tax bracket. Whereas if you have a life insurance policy, you won't be taxed on the cash that you have been putting in to the policy. Okay, so there's some advantages of having a life insurance as a retirement vehicle as opposed to the traditional 401ks and IRAs. Please don't misunderstand me. Have them both. Have them all, you know, if you can do that. But there's some great benefits of having a life insurance policy, especially now. It's cheaper. You can do it now, you know, so if you don't already have a policy and you don't have any religious aversions to it, you know, definitely go seek a financial planner, Shirley Ann, and get a policy to help you start your retirement.
Yeah. Linda, she helped us wonderfully, didn't she? Linda, she packaged us up well. Tax advantage as well as the value. Jamie, see, there's a reason why we love you so much, Jamie. But you know, I think the key thing that I hope you're hearing us say is that it's a cohesive team. I know just enough to be dangerous, and then I hand you off to Jamie. I need Linda because that's part of the planning I do for my clients. We're all working as a team. So that's why I say, you know, so many times when I see people saying, I can do this all on my own, you know, I'm sure you can do brain surgery on your own, but you know, how effective would you be doing brain surgery on your own? So I'm saying to you, build the financial team that walks you through things, lock in steps so you don't feel overwhelmed or intimidated by all these big decisions, these adulting decisions.
These are some very, very important decisions. I know for myself, I just finally got life insurance. I never even really considered it. I was just like, I don't know if I need this. But life insurance is so important. And especially when you're in your 20s, it's like 20 something bucks a month. So I would recommend all the young women out here and all the women in general, make sure you look into life insurance. Apparently you can even borrow against it, I learned, if you really needed to, like further down the line. But ladies, we have just a few minutes left. So what is one big takeaway that we can leave our audience with before we wrap up and get final thoughts?
I'll say this and then I'll let the ladies go. If you have a bank account, you can do your estate planning with your bank account just by adding a payable on death beneficiary. So everyone has homework tonight. If you have not already add a payable on death beneficiary, somebody that's going to get your money after you pass, I want you to consider doing that. Because when you don't, you will have to probate your bank account, or someone will have to probate your bank account. So add a payable on death beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And
Yes.
Definitely. And then I'll add this as a call to action. You know, if you're a person of faith, you know, when pastor is done saying the word, he'll say, you know, I'm saying call to action. So I'm gonna call this conversation to action, because we've sat here today, we've gotten a lot of really great content, but what are you going to do as the next step? And so I will have them put my name up on the screen, and my name will be, my contact information will be there. And I will say to you that I will give you of my time 30 minutes at no cost. 30 minutes at no cost. Wow. And that's the value of me hearing about you. And you getting 30 minutes from me for me to understand where you are and what concerns regarding your finances. And if after that you decide not to do anything, then it's on you. But you can't take all this fantastic information you've heard all day long and not do anything. So mine is your call to action.
All right. All right, Linda, we have
and I would just like to bring everybody back to not thinking about legacy and future, and let's bring us back to 2020 tax returns. I did share some information. I've given you my email. Take a look at the COVID credits. There's a lot of credits. People haven't filed their returns yet. There's stimulus checks. There's a lot of information coming out, and some of you might be entitled to a great deal of money. If you have children, there's earned income credits. I know everyone is in different positions, and it's a lot. I did also share, I thought there were some wonderful, wonderful summary articles on cnet.com that they've done a really good job explaining adjusted gross income, what kind of child credit you can get, how much of a child credit you can get. I think it's a great place to start, and feel free to reach out to me by email if you have questions or if there's anything else I can help you with.
Wow, thank you so much. So generous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And to wrap it all up before we enter into our entrepreneurs panel next, ladies, would you just let everyone know where they can find you? I think, Shirley Ann, you said it was on the screen, so people may have gotten your information there, but if you can just shout it out now so everyone can write it down and reach out to these awesome panelists.
Absolutely. So if you Google my name, Shirley Ann Robertson, that brings you to my LinkedIn page or my Facebook page. And then that way you're able to reach me. ShirleyAnn.Robertson@prudential.com is my email. ShirleyAnn.Robertson@prudential.com. There it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can reach me on LinkedIn, Google search, on my website. It will tell you if you Google Linda Hamilton. Sometimes you might get the actress from the Terminator movies. So if you Google Linda A. Hamilton or accountant, that might help you find me better. And my email is there.
And same with me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or my website. Just Google Jamie, Jami. There's no E at the end of my name. A. Coleman. My law firm is www.williamscoleman.law. And I'm happy to help you if you need anything else. But this has been a great panel. And ladies, you guys have done an awesome job.
Woo! Ditto. Thank you, ladies.
All right, ladies.
Yes, great working with you today.
Thank you so much. And we are
Thank you, guys.
over to the World of Money Studios.
My name is William, and handling money is a big responsibility, and it should be held in the hands of a responsible person.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I feel like I just graduated from business school, like real university business school.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So,
Good afternoon.
Hello, World of Money audience. I hope you have been enjoying today's phenomenal day with all of these magnificent women talking about how to make money work for us. And I just wanted to introduce myself before I let these lovely ladies that I'm on a panel with introduce themselves. But I'm Kelly Evans. I am the Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Community Economic Development for the YWCA Metropolitan Chicago. And I am just pleased as much to be here today with these lovely ladies who I'm going to let introduce themselves because they can do much better job than I am. But we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and the Born Rich mindset. So before we get started, I want you guys to just take a minute or two and introduce yourself and tell us about your name of your business and about your business. We'll start with you, Robin, since you're first on my square.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Beeman. You should know I'm a dreamer, and I've had the opportunity to work with the ultimate dreamers, 3 African-American billionaires, including Oprah Winfrey, and that motivated me to start my own business. I have a public relations firm where I create PR magic for corporations in beauty and entertainment and in utilities, and I love what I do.
Awesome. And you look beautiful today. All 3 of you guys do.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Cecilia, why don't you go next?
Okay, my name is Cecilia Harrison. I own Revenue Cycle Management and Consulting. It is a medical billing company as well as a consulting firm. We provide services to healthcare providers who service the underserved communities and basically in the Chicagoland area.
Awesome. Larvetta.
Hello, everybody. My name is Larvetta Lofton. I have been an entrepreneur practically all my life. That's literally what I have learned, that most of my life, I have been an entrepreneur, and I am grateful to be here. The name of my company is the L3 Agency. We are a marketing and communications firm out of Chicago.
Welcome. Miss Camilla, how you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
Tell us
Very
about
good.
yourself and your business.
It's so my name is Camilla Barunji. I'm the founder of.
Uh-oh, Camilla look like she's getting stuck a little bit. Can you hear us, Camilla? Okay, well, give her the internet a minute to start acting better. So I will move to the first question. I know everybody is thinking about, and people on the call who are probably thinking about starting their own business. And we know as entrepreneurs, there's like 5 million reasons why not to start a business, but only like one good one, which is the one in your head. And so the odds are generally bad, and it's often not a good idea. If you really look at the statistics about business, but entrepreneurs don't care about that, and we do it anyway, because we're fearless, and you guys are absolutely fearless. And so I want you guys to tell the audience a little bit about what made you launch your business. What was your thought process? How did you overcome some of those fears? And what made you start this particular business?
All right, I'll go first. For me, literally, I had a babysitting business when I was 16 years old, 14 years old. And it came because I wanted more stuff. I wanted a Coach purse. I wanted all this stuff. And my mom was like, you need a job. And so literally I said, okay, how about I build a babysitting business? And so I literally became the only and the best babysitter in my community. And so with that was the first taste of, if you want something, you have to go after it. And so for me, I knew I loved kids, and I really did, I'm coming to grips that I love money too, because money gave me access. And so it gave me the access to go get the things that I've always wanted or desired. And so that was it. And I believe that entrepreneurship gives you an opportunity to have access to live the life that you've always desired. And so for me, being able to be an entrepreneur my entire life, it's not fun. It's not glamorous. Let me be clear. But what it has given me is an opportunity to explore other things that I've never probably would have explored. It teaches you how to pivot. You don't get comfortable as an entrepreneur because you can't get comfortable. So that's one of the things that I've learned, that learning how to pivot as an entrepreneur. And I think that's really how we're able to be rich within our minds, because we have the ability to always look at, how can I pivot? How can I be better? And that's one of the things that entrepreneurship has also taught me, is always stay a student. And so I've always remained a student, even in my business.
That's awesome.
I have to agree. I was going to share with Lavetta. When I look back, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 7 years old. So I've sold candy, clothes, art classes, bus trips, like anything to make money. I was selling cookies, but I wasn't selling cookies for the Girl Scouts. Me and my girl was selling cookies so we could buy things, do things, go places. I look back, I say it's been in my spirit. It's been in my spirit. I went to HBCU. I went to Howard University, and really Howard was about learning from others, working for a company or corporation, learning from them, and then launching your own business and creating generational wealth, not only for yourself, but for others in the community. Like, it was always important to reach back and get others and help them build their American dream. So I was inspired by that. I love public relations. I was the student of Dr. Ophil Dukes, who had an amazing agency at that time. And I was inspired to, at that particular point, to one day have my own PR agency. And so I think it's important when you talk about entrepreneurship, is that you have to dream. Like I said, I'm a big dreamer. You have to see these things for yourself Even before you know how to manifest it for yourself, you have to know that this is something that I want, and you can't let anything stop you from getting it. So that whole thing that even Lavetta talked about perseverance, it's important that no matter what, if this is something that you want, you don't let anything get in your way.
That's a great point, and we're gonna come back to that, Robin. I want Cecilia to go, but I want us to think about those things, because I think that this is what makes us different, right? About entrepreneurs, it's failure. No one likes to fail, but we all fail, and for entrepreneurs, the failing part is not that important. So I want to talk again. We'll come back to that, but I also wanted to just touch real quick. You said something about generational wealth, and I know we don't have a lot of time here because that's a whole subject in and of itself. But I love that perspective, and part of the reason why at the YWCA my role is not just entrepreneurship, but it's community economic development, because all of you guys live in a community, and your success is not just success for you, but it's success for that community. Because, like you said, you create opportunity for other people, and I think that that's a really important part of the conversation that unfortunately we don't have time to dig into. But when we talk about business building, we don't often talk about that. And we need to spend more energy on understanding what a successful entrepreneur within a community does for the larger community. So
that's right.
That's my 2 cents. And Cecilia, go ahead jump in and tell us about what made you do this.
Okay, so I'm embarrassed to say, unlike Lavetta and Robin, I actually was not ever like in the entrepreneurship mindset. I didn't sell anything as a child or anything, but what I did realize is that I like to be in charge. So I noticed that I like to be in charge. I was always fixing something or redirecting someone or saying, no, you can do it like this. Let's do it like this, So I was always kind of like that person. Also, my dad was always a business owner, my grandfather, so I seen that and I'm like, they get to have their own schedule. They get to do what they want. When I decided to actually step out on my own, I had been working for other hospitals and other billing services for maybe about 12 years. And so then after that, I said, I can't do it anymore. I'm like a stickler. I like to do things right. I cannot see another provider missing money because, people tend to think that doctors are rich. They make good money, but they're not. They have a huge overhead. So, I had compassion for that. And I said, let me take my knowledge and help them, more of those that are, basically serving underserved communities because they're they're experiencing the most issues with revenue. So at that particular time, I stepped out and I said, I'm just going to start my business. Fortunately for me, I was a voucher holder at the time, CHA voucher holder. And there was so many programs that Family Self-Sufficiency offered. And one of them was a entrepreneurship program. And upon completion of that program, I was to get $5,000 and I completed it. And that's what I started my business with. So yeah, shout out to CHA. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so many programs that are available to help people, and again, business building, starting a business, I should say, is such a scary thing. And I get it. But there's so much support out here for people who want to, who have an idea, have a dream, and want to start their business. I know you mentioned, Cecilia, that unlike Lavette and Robin, you weren't, selling stuff as a kid. And maybe not, but I think something about being an entrepreneur, it is something that you can be born with, but it's also a skill you can develop over time, depending on what it is your motivation is. And for you said your motivation was being in charge, being able to create something. And I totally get that. It's funny, if any of my friends, because I sent this out on Facebook, and all my friends were like, awesome, Kelly, we're going to tune in. Any of my high school friends are they're laughing right now because whenever we get together, they always go, so what are you doing today, Kelly? Like, what's your business today? What's your job today? Because like you, I just love creating stuff. Like, I'm not so much married to, and this is not necessarily a good thing, to like its success. I like launching it You know,
Yeah.
I've had some businesses that worked. I've had some businesses that didn't. But in all, they were all great opportunities. Because at the end of the day, I call myself psychologically unemployable, right? I just don't do well in people's jobs. And
Yeah.
so I have to be in a creative space. And I think, you know, entrepreneurship is motivated by a whole host of things. You know, some people like, you know, growing their money, like Larvetta talked about. Robin, you know, just had this itch to do her own thing forever, and you wanted your freedom. And so all of those stories are a road to ultimate entrepreneurship, which can give us ultimate freedom and financial security. And I think that is something that we need to talk about more, because small businesses make this country run. And we really need to encourage more people to take that leap. So Camilla, tell us about yourself and about what made you start your business. We can't hear you.
Sorry about the interruption, but thank you so much for your patience. My name is Camilla Barunji. I'm the founder of Alliance for Development, AFD. And basically, I have a consulting advisory business where I help identify, how would I describe it, like innovation ecosystem builders in the African diaspora and on the continent, and basically help them grow their businesses. So what made me become an entrepreneur, I'll be honest with you, I considered myself quite a lazy person, actually, like a very slow, laid back, wanting to be in the back type of person. But what led me to be an entrepreneur, when I saw how much injustice, how much inequality is in our communities. And that really is what drove me to get motivated, right? Which is not my natural state of being. So, you know, looking at the way things were, being raised by a single mom, and seeing how women are left out of you know, a lot of the global economy, a lot of opportunity. I decided that with my network that I had built locally, that I wanted to help other people grow their businesses. People that were growing businesses in our community, I wanted to help them. You know, I don't have the capacity to help every individual startup, but there are people that actually their businesses are designed to build other businesses, and that's who I like working with, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, yeah, Camilla, something you said about, you know, helping people start their business. That's one of the things that you love. And even you too, Cecilia, wanting to see people, you know, all of you guys have businesses that really support support the structure of other businesses. And that's so important. And as we talk about small businesses, female-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, it's just so vitally important for us to support each other's businesses, because we are those businesses are vital to our community. I keep talking about that because that's, you know, that's my passion. You know, making sure that we're supporting our community resources, because that's really what you all are. And so we need to make sure that when we see small businesses, that we support them. We know the Black females start businesses at a rate of almost 4 to 1. We're the fastest growing pool of entrepreneurs in the country. And so, you know, we just need to make sure that we are supporting what we do. Linda Hamilton put a message in the chat saying, make sure that you are getting certified. You know, all of our listeners, you know, make sure that you are going to these free resources, like the WBDC that we have at the Y, the Women's Business Development Center in Chicago, and they have these all in whatever part of the country that you're in. SBDC, absolutely. WeBanks, that you're going to these organizations that have federal funds to help us learn how to get certified and structure our business in a way that it has sustainability. So
we have a question from a student, it looks like.
Yep. What advice do you give to a student entrepreneur? I wanted you guys to answer this next question because it bleeds into this.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk about what is the one piece of advice that you can give our listeners to encourage them to take the leap? And then specifically, as this listener said, what do you have any specific advice for young people? I heard you guys talk about how you've been doing this since you were young. What advice do you have for them?
I would actually just say to make sure that whatever business you're going into, you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to have a passion for it. You can't just, you know, say, oh, I just want to make money, because, you know, that burns out after a while.
Yeah.
It's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of hard work, and you want to enjoy it. I would also say to to answer the student's question, make sure that you start out legit. Like you get your LLC, you get your EIN, you get your SAM registration, your DUNS number. You need to do every single thing. Don't, go at this half-cocked. You need to do everything in order, proper, so you can have a legit business.
It's funny, Cecilia, when you say that, I didn't do that 21 years ago. So let me say this, and I believe that is what you should do. I didn't start that. So I want to be very clear that I did not start that path. But one thing that I've also learned is you got to love it, and you got to be able to have a business that solves a problem. And I think for many of us, when we started a business, we were solving some kind of problem, whatever it is, whether it's climate change, whether it's to pay off that tuition. And so even when I had a t-shirt business when I was in college, it was to help offset my tuition. So it was to solve a problem, because businesses can expire. You don't have to have that same business and live with you forever, but it can be a business that you love and it expires. And it's okay, but you can love what you do and love serving others and love helping and empowering others. And that can be your mission. The thing that I believe that you must have is you have to have a mission behind your business. You can have multiple businesses, but there has to be an overarching mission to who you are and serving in that capacity. And I truly believe that when you wrap that along, for me, then that to me is how you're able to create wealth in your business. What you talked about, Kelly, real generational wealth, when you're able to wrap all of that together and have multiple. I like what you said. I had some work, some didn't. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because they served a purpose and they solved a problem for that moment.
Yeah.
And they taught you something.
I agree. Right. We learn, right? Right.
Yeah.
Right. Every experience, like we learn. I think what's really important is your mindset. Like you have to know that you're going to be successful, even though you may not have figured out like what the path is yet. You have to have a mindset to win, and that no matter what happens, you are going to keep going. You have to also do it afraid. Sometimes you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel a little fearful, but you have to keep moving forward. And also, so that in everything's not going to be perfect. It's, don't wait for perfection, because that's not real.
Yeah.
But believe you can do it and keep moving.
Keep the game face on.
I wanted to add something vital as well. Is strategy. A lot of the time, we have this really grand idea, but we don't know how we're going to do it, right? And how they get there. So it's so important. Like before you start, and I'm with the other entrepreneurs. I learned the hard way. I failed so many times. I can't even tell you how many businesses I started and failed. And failure is the best teacher ever. Believe you me. Once you fail and you get broke, you're like, whoa. But having a strategy is very helpful. And there's so many tools online. There's so many brilliant people. There's so many resources right now. Our community, we're getting a lot of attention globally. So we should use these resources and develop a strategy. Women, we are natural strategists. We don't even go to the store before we know which bag, which lipstick. So it's the same way, those kind of ways of being in your lifestyle should be that way in your business as well.
Yeah.
Can I just add one? I just wanted to add one thing, because we talked about, you're going to have failure, and that's okay. What's the most important thing is that you just keep getting up. Don't have a failure and just say, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. It's over. No, you're going to have issues that happen. You have to just keep getting up. That's why I said that perseverance, that is what keeps people in the game.
And I think a theme of what all of you have said around that is that Camilla talked about it in terms of a strategy. It's okay for me to fail. What am I going to do? You mentioned earlier, Robin, that there is no experience that's lost, and that is like my mantra, right? There is no experience that is lost. Every experience that you have, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, gets you ready for the next thing. And as entrepreneurs who've been in the business, and I know all of you ladies have been in the business long enough to know that, you know, when you look like this is really not the end. It is just a way for me to sit back, rethink what I'm doing, and figure out how to do it again and do it better. So yeah, that is so invaluably important, especially to people who have a business idea. But what if I launch it and it doesn't work? Like, okay, that's when you know by process of elimination, that's one thing that you can't do, or one way not to do.
Or
So
how can you improve it?
How do you improve it? What are your next options? And I do think that is so very important for us to remember. This was so quick. We got 5 more minutes, you guys. But to kind of bring this full circle, and as we talk about this Born Rich forum that we're participating in today, we kind of talked about what Born Rich really meant. And I want you guys to tell the audience, what is the born rich attitude? Because we know it's not literally born rich, but it's an attitude, it's a lifestyle, it's a mindset. And so tell us what you think that is. And if we feel like we don't have it, how do we get it?
Well,
go ahead, Cecilia.
No,
well, I was just going to say that Born Rich for me was understanding that literally, when you're born, you have everything you need already to be successful. Yes. And that being rich is not just money, though it can include that, but it's rich in love and rich in compassion and forgiveness and, my word, perseverance and, and generosity. Like, that's what, Born Rich, that's what it meant to me. Mm-hmm. Cecilia?
So for me, when I think born rich, I think, born with the understanding that basically you could do whatever you want. You have the mindset to say anything I put my hands on, I can make happen. Having the attitude that if I do fail, I can get back up and do something different, not giving up, knowing that if my mind is as much as I want it to be, I can have as many ideas as I want. I was brought up to understand that, hey, you can do whatever you want to do, whatever you set your mind to. You don't have to be this person to be successful. You can be, you can create your own level of success. So just understanding who you are and what you can give to the world and make that work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Born Rich for me has always been about being rich in love, which is what Robin talks about, and truly loving what you do. And when I see that, I think of it as making sure that what you put in your body and what you allow people around you to help you build that richness. Because if you are putting the wrong things in your body and you are surrounding yourselves with people who don't make you better and don't improve you, then you can't elevate in that space of richness. And I believe Born Rich says making sure that you have a network that is smarter than you, make more money than you, can advocate for you, and you're not the only person doing that. But then on the same time, is making sure that we're putting the right things in our bodies and taking care of our bodies and making sure that our bodies are rich in love and things like that. So that's important, now as we grow. But that was always my thing of making sure those things were top of mind so that you can continue to do the work you do. Because if you're not rich in that, you can't continue to do the work that you were destined to do.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, we are out of time. I wanted to give Camilla the last word, but I'm seeing the thanks for your time. I don't want us to get snatched off of here. So I want to tell everybody listening, thank you so much for being a part of this. Ladies, thank you for this important information that you have delivered to us. And have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Many people wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. When I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palms of my hands, the need for my care. Because I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, all you women and me.